All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Today is Friday, April 2nd. We are here for the Cleveland Planning Commission meeting a little early due to the city being closed tomorrow for the Good Friday holiday. Thank you all for joining us today. We will now call the meeting to order. Officially, excuse me, my Friday brain is not on. Evelyn, can you please call the roll?
In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's Open
I'm
Meeting
not here yet.
Section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conduct their meetings in a manner modeled after Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through proper channels have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Proper channels for comments are listed below. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the Wednesday 12 p.m. deadline are collected by city planning staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. Proper channels for public comment. Sending an email to the cityplanning@clevelandohio.gov address with a comment or a letter. Calling and/or leaving a message at 216-664-2210. Sending a letter or dropping off comments at City Hall, 601, Lakeside Avenue, Suite 501, Cleveland, Ohio, 44114. Meeting rules and procedures. The chair will call each agenda item and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation has concluded, the chair will ask planning staff to summarize Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations, if applicable, and any public comments received. Public comments received through the proper channels by the deadline are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff, if applicable. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member, except the chair, may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
All right. Now we are going to call the meeting to order. And Evelyn, can you please do the roll call?
Anthony,
Present.
Luker,
Present.
McCray Scott,
Present.
Sargent,
Present.
Slife,
Present.
and Whitfield.
Present.
Thank you. Our first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting. I am going to abstain since I was not present. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Motion and second?
Second. Oops.
Couple of seconds. Motion in a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Abstain.
Luker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Sargent,
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
and Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much. Our first item on the agenda today is a conditional use townhome in the 2F District Fulton development. This project is located at 1768. And we will hear from Xavier first, and then the applicant. Is the applicant here or online?
Yes, we're here online.
Okay.
Great. Good morning. My name is Xavier Bay. I'm a zoning planner with City Planning. Today I'm presenting a conditional use proposal in a two-family residential zoning district. All right, so on the screen here, there we go. You can see the project is located in a two-family residential zoning district. They're adjacent to other two-family residence districts just down the street from a local retail and multifamily node there. If you're familiar with the area, this is near Franklin Circle. On the right side of the screen, you can see just briefly the site plan in question, which we can go into more detail. Let's see here.
Pardon me, Xavier.
Yes.
So I'm clear. The contrast is which is this the light, the little darker shaded
That's correct. Yeah, and in future slides, I think it's going to be a little more noticeable. But that's right. On the right side of the screen, you can see the site plan proposal. There's actually hatched lines that show a more defined lot split.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, okay. So here you can see the aerial view. Dropped a point there. You could see an arrow pointing down on the project location. On the screen here, you can see the current lot configuration. So currently, it's just a single family home existing on the lot all the way in the rear. Thank you. And so the proposal here is one townhouse building with two units attached. Conditional uses are required from City Planning Commission when a proposal for a townhouse is located in a two-family or single-family residential zoning district. Next slide, please. And so the commission's decision of approval should be derived from subsection E within the townhouse code section of the zoning ordinances. And so here we're really determining if the visual compatibility of the proposed development matches with nearby properties. You're also taking into consideration setback, scale, height, building orientation of the proposed property. Here I attached a few more context photos going up and down the street. So on the top photo here, you could actually see the direct view if you were to turn around from viewing the property. This is the intersection of Fulton Road and West 30th Street. You have some mixed uses here, single family homes, as well as shops on lower floors. The bottom view there, you could see very similarly some of that commercial context that's lingering in the community adjacent to other residences. And so here you can see some more views going further down Fulton Road, where you have some of this matching context of single-family homes in the rear yard of other existing homes. And the bottom view there is pretty much adjacent to the lot in the rear off of West 31st Place. You can see some more of the context of residential uses. Next slide, please. Thank you. And so some more of the your consideration should also be dependent on the promotion of security or visual interest of the proposed development here, really determining if the circulation of pedestrians and vehicles is safe, making sure that, the orientation of the front doors, things of that nature of the home match with the context of the neighborhood, as well as bring more visual interest to the right-of-way. So again, just reiterating, we're really focusing on the circulation of traffic and pedestrians. Here you can see on the site plan to the right, there are 3 off-street parking spaces being provided in the rear of one of the adjacent existing homes. The proposed development does have attached garages that are actually going to be on the northern face of the building there. So we also have the applicant's design review presentation where you could see a lot more detail of their site plan and proposal.
Thank you, Xavier. So we, sorry, I failed to say in the beginning that this is a zoning case, therefore it's a public hearing. Next, we're going to hear from the applicant, and then after that, we'll open up for public comment. Is it Evan? I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name properly.
Evan.
Evan, okay. And then I'm just going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth for this matter and hearing under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. We will advance your slides so you can proceed.
So I just want to state, I do have my architect Harold Smith in here as well. We'll be speaking to a lot of the project as well.
Okay. Say that name again. I'll need to swear them in as well.
Harold?
Harold, okay. Harold, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth for this matter and hearing under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. Paul can proceed.
Okay, what we have here is if we go to the slide prior, our full lot, and as we discussed before, And if you go forward in the additional context of the images that we're looking at, sorry, I don't have control. Yep. Our focus on the lot was to keep the scale, setbacks, and overall structure kind of proportionally accurate to what the neighborhood feels, but still bring it up to date to the era that we're in. As we built the lot, we had an empty space. We had an adjoining drive aisle that serviced the rear lot, or so the rear building. And I believe prior to this, there was a previous building of similar scale here, and that was our main goal, is to bring that back. Our context, and I'll have Evan speak to, we developed it from a single family to a two family was our maximum lot occupancy. We had a decent size area in the rear and a decent size drive aisle, which we felt was adequate to service that area. If we go to our next slide. This is showing just additional context of the neighborhood. One thing that we were discussing as we developed this space was there was such a variation of facades, structures, and building types in here. But what we saw was really more pedestrian walkway, clearing areas, a walkable neighborhood, and just adhering to that front yard area. If you go to the next slide. And the next one. As we talked about before, I think Xavier spoke to it. We kept to our front yard setback. Our front yard setback is 10 feet. We still have our area where we have a bit of I would say a porch-like space. And then we have our setbacks for our rear yards. Even in our rear area, we provided 3 parking spaces and 2 separate garages for each unit. Our goal for the lot split is to have an overall condominium lot, which still maintains our drive aisle for shareable space for all the units. Next slide. This is really just speaking to our layouts, kitchens, bath area. Our main floor is on the second floor. It gives views and privacy that we really liked above the pedestrian area. And then a lot of our habitable spaces are on our third floor. Next slide. Our elevation, we went to our elevation, we were working with Landmark, and one of the goals that we discussed there is how do we still, it's a historical neighborhood, but yet it's not a historical building. But how do we merge that two conversations together? And a few bit iterations, we came up with a solution where we still keep the form and structure of the neighborhood, but still kind of brought some of the articulation in today's era. Our next slide. Here we're just going into materiality, detailing, etc. We chose to do a metal roof, shingled roof. We kept a green urban area because we wanted to have kind of a green space between the two units. It's kind of a process that we've been working through quite a bit, and that's how we kind of also created a separation for the two structures. And we also added a bit more windows for natural light. Next slide. This is sections to see everything here. Next slide. Here we just kind of have a perspective of how the structure in context of the neighborhood. Kept an overhang for a porchway. We kept a front kind of stoop area, and still front yard setback, kind of adhering to the same frontage as the rest of the neighborhood. Next slide. Oh, that's it.
And Madam Chair, I did leave out that this project did receive Landmarks Commission's approval as they are in the Landmarks District. I did want to just reiterate, you're seeing this because it's a townhouse in a 2-family district, which requires conditional use from this approval from this body.
Thank you, Xavier. And thank you so much for the presentation. We'll now take testimony from the public. First, we'll hear from proponents, those in the audience or online that are in favor of the zoning changes, and then we'll take testimony from opponents, those that oppose the zoning change. We just ask that before you make your comment, you state your full name and address if you're a resident or business, if that is applicable. And we also ask that you keep your comments to 2 minutes so we can account for all individuals providing comment. So I'll ask now, are there any individuals in person or online in favor of this project that would like to make a comment? Hearing none, are there any individuals online or in person that are opposed and would like to make a comment? Hearing none, we will close the public portion and I will open up for commission members for questions and discussion.
Madam Chair, if I may, before commission members go, we also have Dan Messon, Secretary of Landmarks Commission, here to speak to the Landmarks Commission review and approval of the design. So because this is in Landmarks Commission, because this is in a landmarks district, they have purview over the design. City Planning Commission is simply considering the use of townhomes in this area. But Dan is here should you have any questions for him about design.
Thank you, Dan.
Madam Chair, to Xavier, it's shown that there are conditions there. What conditions, maybe you can speak to the conditions that Landmark had for approval?
Yes, through the chair, this did receive approval by the Landmarks Commission on December 12th, 2024. And there was a condition that the applicants study the proportions of the glazing to create more balance and symmetry and just work out those final details with staff. After some back and forth, staff did receive the final plans and we issued the certificate of appropriateness January 23rd, 2026.
Madam Chair, to the applicant Xavier, can we go to the site plan, please? This is under the category 4 under E of the zoning section concerning circulation and parking. What's the dimension from the face of your building north to the structure and/or the property line?
Yeah, I will defer to the applicant here. Let's see.
Well, I'll be more direct. That is going to be a hell of a turn one would have to make to navigate into that garage. I own a Mini Cooper, and I still think I would have to do a 3-point turn. And you know, vehicles larger, I think that could be an issue, especially backing out.
So that was
backing
one,
out during the winter, et cetera. Thank you.
that was one of the discussions that we had with our civil engineer, and we did very much look at that. We had originally a 2-car garage versus a 1-car garage. Currently, we have a 1-car garage, which is a little bit larger than typical 1-car garage. That's also why we're adding spaces to the rear for larger vehicles. Now, what we have for dimensions from the building to the adjacent building is, I believe, I'm going to double check, 17 feet, which does give a tight but adequate space for turning. Not great for larger vehicles at all.
Madam Chair, to the applicant, I would ask that planning staff review an auto turn from the civil engineer on the design team, just to, I think, attest to Commissioner Fluker's comment. It seems pretty tight, but I think an auto turn, just a quick PDF to kind of show that turning radius of a car getting in there to provide proper circulation would suffice. I can tell you, I live in a very similar situation where there's 4 townhomes and there's a private drive that connects it, and it's much wider than this. And I see my neighbors back into the lawn behind them to get out of their garage because they have really large cars. So that would hate to put people in a position where they actually spend money and find out that they can't navigate getting in and out of their homes.
Yeah. Commission members, any other comments or questions?
I'll take a swing at the motion I'm about to make.
I'm gonna motion that we approve the proposed conditional use application because it appears to deal with compatibility, site layout, building features identified in section 33703. However, the caveat is the applicant must work with planning and their civil engineer to come up with a viable ingress and egress out of the site for vehicles, all size vehicles.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Motion and second. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Sly,
Yes.
and Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you, Xavier.
Right, thank you.
We have, our next item is a mandatory legislative referral, slightly out of order due to some scheduling conflicts. So this is ordinance number unnumbered 2026 to be introduced. This resolution approves the creation of the Downtown Cleveland Improvement District as a special improvement district in the city. I believe we have Mr. Deemer present for the presentation.
And Madam Chair, just a correction on the legislative text. This is for the creation of the Superior Arts Improvement District.
Superior Arts. Sorry. Thank you.
Good.
I'll just have both of you state your name for the record, please.
Sure. Michael Deemer.
Thank you so much. Evelyn will advance the slides for you all.
Terrific. Well, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. We are excited to be here to talk about the creation and continuation of the Cleveland Superior Arts Improvement District. I'll provide a little bit of background about the district. My colleague Mark Pugatz is here to answer more detailed questions about how the district operates, and then pleased to answer any questions that you may have. Superior Arts Improvement District was originally created in 2021, 2017, excuse me, for a 3-year term, and it was renewed in 2021 for a 5-year term. We're planning on seeking a 7-year term this time around. In this term, the first year assessment revenue will be $235,000. We'll seek 3% annual increases for the remaining years of the term. The total assessment revenue over the course of the term will be just under $2 million, 1.8. There's about 22,700 linear feet in the district from a total of 138 parcels. The formula for the assessment in the district is a combination of linear front footage serviced and total value. The assessments are incorporated as part of Cuyahoga County property tax bills during the upcoming term of the improvement district. As I said, the assessment will generate just over $235,000. An example of how the 2026 budget may be allocated is reproduced on the slide. That the board generally follows this guideline of about 75% of the revenues going towards clean and safe services, another 8% towards economic development and management, and then we try to keep 5% in reserves and another 4% for space maintenance in the district. The board can deviate from that, but it does generally stay within those guidelines. On the next slide, you see the boundaries of the proposed district. That is, I believe, East 18th on the left side of the screen, East 26th on the right, Payne Avenue to the south, and St. Clair to the north. The services that are provided in the district are the same types of services that are provided in the Downtown Cleveland Improvement District. And I'll take the opportunity here to note that last year, the Superior Arts Improvement District transferred management responsibility for the district from the campus district to Downtown Cleveland, Inc. So Downtown Cleveland, Inc. manages both the Downtown Cleveland Improvement District and the Superior Arts Improvement District. The clean and safe services that are provided in both districts are delivered as a seamless program. So the ambassadors don't operate separately in one district, in the other district. It's all managed and run as a single program, which we've found has generated a lot of efficiency for the district, and I think higher quality services across both districts as well. Again, those services include clean and safe services, including litter disposal, graffiti removal, safety escorts, unsheltered outreach is an important part of what this team does. We do maintain the public realm. For example, in the Superior Arts District, there were improvements made in the tree lawn. The clean and safe team maintains those improvements. And of course, a small portion of the budget goes towards economic development and marketing to promote investment in the district. That concludes my presentation. We're excited about moving forward with the district. We feel very good about the synergy that we've been able to create in unifying both improvement districts and again, providing more coordinated service and advocacy on behalf of downtown across the board. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
Thank you, Mr. Deemer. Commission members, any comments or questions?
Yes, I'm glad to hear that that's happening, first of all. That type of organization and approach works, obviously. You proved it. The only question I have is you glossed over biohazard removal.
Yes.
The only reason why I'm bringing it up, I mean, if you find yourself in that position, is that tenant, are they assessed a special assessment to help remove it, or what does that mean, I suppose?
Madam Chair, to the Commissioner, biohazard is a tasteful way of referring to human and pet waste. Which is an unfortunate reality of downtown place management.
You came up with a palatable description.
It's reality.
Thank you for your presentation. Can you speak a little bit to what is under the purview of unsheltered outreach?
Yeah, absolutely, Madam Chair and members of the commission. We employ a outreach worker who's I would say her job is really twofold. It is to help connect people in need with services. So she works very closely with the Home for Every Neighbor initiative to try to get folks who are sleeping in the street into housing. She's there to connect them with other social services as well. And I will say that, before a Home for Every Neighbor came along, the organization invested a lot of time, resources, and energy into building trust with folks who are shelter resistant. Many for very good trauma-related reasons, and building sufficient trust to persuade people in those situations to accept help takes a lot of time and energy. The creation of a Home for Every Neighbor has had a huge impact across downtown, where there's now the ability to offer a warm place safe to sleep for folks who want to go into the shelter for, again, all kinds of very, very serious and legitimate reasons. So outreach worker, I think is more effective and efficient as a result of the Home for Every Neighbor program. That said, the work of building trust, maintaining trust, connecting people in need with services continues, because there is a small subset of the street population that is maybe not a good candidate for a home for every neighbor, still doesn't want services. So a lot of that work is still building the trust and trying to persuade people to accept help.
Thank you. Commission members, any other comments or questions? A motion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move to approve the Superior Arts Improvement District as presented. It does not have a legislation number or ordinance number under mandatory legislative referrals, so.
Second.
Motion and a second. Evelyn, roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Flicker,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you both so much for being here today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the commission. Thank you.
Welcome. All right, we are going to move into design review. First up, Far West Design Review, PRJ 26-007605. This is 7C Seafood Signage. This is located at 15723 Lorraine Avenue in our fellow commission members, Ward 15. Are you Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Okay, if you could just make sure that's on green when you're speaking and just state your name for the record, please.
Stephen Foster.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just want to direct commission members' attention to the agenda here where we have a few conditions from design review. And then we'll also hear from planning staff about this project.
Thank you. Good morning again, Xavier Bay in the zoning section of city planning. Today we're presenting the 7 C's seafood signage. All right, perfect. So the proposal here is the applicant's proposing a wall signage and a blade sign. The wall signage consists of about 76 square foot area. And then mainly the variance here required is for the projecting blade sign, which is 24 square feet. And so the property is located within a local retail business district along Lorraine Avenue. It's a commercial corridor. Here's property in question, the 7 C's Seafood. And so I've also incorporated some more imagery going up and down Lorraine Avenue, where you can see there is a presence of some similar projecting blade signs for other businesses nearby. And so since this property is within a design review district, this body, the City Planning Commission, has the authority to vary the sign code regulations. And so primarily your criteria of review are derived from design compatibility, design guidelines, minimum variation from the zoning code. So really making sure that the signage is suited for the area. I've incorporated some definitions here. It's a business signage that we're looking at, specifically identification signage and more specificity around the projecting sign, since the sign's being erected off the building. And so projecting signs are limited to 12 square feet max area. They're also limited to project only up to 4 feet max from the building face. And so the proposal here is seeking a variance for an additional 12 square feet and then variance from projecting an additional 1.8 feet off of the building face. Again, your consideration here, does this result in better signage suited for the nearby properties? Is this resulting, is this in alignment with your design guidelines? And do these variances make sense? Is it minimal variance from the zoning code? I will just quickly mention the applicant has updated their signage, so what you'll see next in their slides, it may look a little different, but the variances are no different than what I've stated. Thank you.
Thanks, Xavier. Mr. Foster?
Yes,
If you'd like to click forward, you can.
this goes forward.
Yep.
Okay.
This right button here.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so what you're looking at is the original first page submitted, and subsequent to having submitted that, the client asked that the wavy seed-like graphic at the bottom of those wall signs be changed from an orange to a blue. And so in doing so, the words that fall within that orange would change to white. So the blue would be the same as the other blues on those wall signs. So that's the only client request change that we had. If I can go to the next, how's this work? Next slide.
It's a little delayed.
Oh, I see. Okay, so a back up once. Okay, that's this. Okay, this represents the left screen's a little better to read. You can see the proposed change. Also, during the design review, there was a request to move the sign from its original position that I had put it on the column to the next to the door, the entrance to the location, and the design review asked that we move it to the higher and center of the actual storefront. So this reflects that. I'll put back just to show that's the original proposed, and this is the revised version, slightly different location. This slide shows, the top of this slide shows the the sign before there was the windstorm that we had a few weeks ago. And that windstorm took out their existing wall sign. So this just gives you reference to that. And this is the projecting sign as proposed. And this, of course, just shows the location. And this shows the other, if you're standing in the street, which is a dangerous thing to do, but I go to extra lengths for my clients. So anyways, so if you're facing, if you're in front of the building, facing east, you see the top. The center one shows facing west, and if you step back a little bit from and facing west, you're at West 157th and Lorraine, and that inset side shows that florist building or florist sign, which is about the same size, except it's just rectangular form as the one we're proposing. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. All right. So again, commission members, there are a couple comments. Mr. Foster addressed those in his remarks. Any comments or questions?
Nothing much to add from staff side. This is, we would just recommend approving with the same conditions of design review. They've already agreed to the changes that they made, so. Madam Chair, the only comment to the applicant and staff, if we can go back to the slides with design reviews request to move the sign off center to the top. I don't see why this is a stronger design than I think almost what was proposed. I would imagine that signage location would just be better just centered on the two signs that front the building. So I'm going to move that we take that condition out, the moving of the sign, because I just don't think that it makes any sense.
I was going to say the same thing. Say that I'm comfortable with wherever, if it's there, if it's number one, if it's number two, if it's number three, which is in the middle. Like I can live with all three. I appreciate that this one's a little higher, so you can see hot chowder and clam bakes. But it does. I'm wondering if it would feel more even if it were at that height between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I without being there and knowing the ins and outs of how to install and everything, I don't want to be hyper specific in a motion personally. But
I would say to the applicant, if it poses no change in the installation of the sign, we would recommend that it be centered between the two other signs.
Yeah.
Let's try to crowd. Yeah, I agree with your assessment. Madam Chair, to the applicant, you don't have to follow this because we're not trying to create this yo-yo effect. I like the orange better than I think these guys were off their game when they were suggesting. I'm just being totally honest. It's just more vibrant. It just feels. That's just my opinion. You don't have to change it. I'm just giving my commentary here.
Yes, I had originally proposed it as the orange, and they were okay with that. But having thought about it, the client requested that we change it to the blue. So
All right. We won't argue
I
with the
thought it
client.
was nice to keep some of the old signage reference with that orange.
Lake Erie's blue now.
Really? Today. No.
Yeah, just concurring. I also like the contrast, but that's more.
Yeah, I like the contrast too.
I can't wait till they get the Lake Erie lobster in.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That's a delicacy.
I think even more exciting than the signage is me learning about this company as someone that loves seafood. So look out,
Oh, yeah, you gotta
Councilman,
go.
I'll be coming your way. Any other comments or questions?
No.
And then just asking for who's going to make the initial motion, just noting the items that are here in our agenda about the variances, please.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to include a motion for approval to include the necessary variances requested, the proposed square foot of proposed additional square feet of 12 and proposed additional projection of the wall of 1.8 feet, and also that the applicant has the ability to choose the final location of the projected sign, whether they choose to install it in the center or above, as a condition requested from design review.
A second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
McRae Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
and Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, staying in the Far West design review, we have B25037033. This is located at 4686 West 130th Street. This is a demolition. We have a few representatives here. Okay, yeah.
Point of information, we are going to do two projects together, like it's described on this slide. So we'll do the demolition and the mixed-use development presentations together, but we will require two motions.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Could you tell them to turn on?
And then I'll just ask for the representatives here, just make sure that your mics are on green. If you can both, please state your name for the record.
Khalil Eways with Pioneer Engineering.
And Wissam Iways.
Awesome. And they showed you how to use the button on the right to advance. And it is a slight delay, so just give it a second.
Yes, our first project is actually, it's all one project. Our first project is a demolition project, which is needed to perform a mixed-use development project. Existing building is a two-story frame building. Historically, the building's been vacant for quite a while. It was used as a hardware store on the first floor. Second floor was a walk-up apartment, so it was a mixed-use development prior. And our new proposal would mimic a mixed-use development. Our project's located on West 130th Street and Bel Air, southwest corner of the street. The lot is roughly 0.7 acres. It fronts 140 feet on West 130th Street, and then it goes back on Bennington 220 feet. The lot, or talk about that a little bit. There's really nothing historical about the building other than the previous use of a hardware store. We looked at the existing building, and truthfully, the owner, when he purchased this property, he never had an intent to remodel or renovate the building. It was always the intent to demolish and build new. So that was the owner's intent from day one. We did the inspection of the property, of the part of the building. The building is really in bad condition. We agree that initially when the owner bought the building, it was in better condition, but it has since deteriorated. There are structural issues, termite issues with the wood framing, the foundation issues. And really, the owner feels that putting in that kind of investment in a building, even if we were to bring it up to compliance and being in good shape, it would not be marketable as much as a new building. People like new buildings, and thus that is our thought process. The city had recently condemned this property. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And rightfully so. The property is currently boarded up. Our concerns, there's no imminent failure of the building of collapse or anything like that. Our concern is for people to get into the building, live there, homeless, things of that nature. And obviously, owner deals a lot with illegal dumping on the site. He's constantly sending his guys to go out and clean the parking lot. We do have a permit application in with the city, and we do have a contractor that is ready to go for the demolition, should it be approved by this board. This project actually is not new. This demolition portion of it, it was presented to this board previously, I think in 2024, was it?
Yeah, I believe so.
In 2024. And this board, along with the Design Review Commission, denied the applicant, Mr. Iwas, because he did not have a proposed use at that time. And we are here today because we do have a proposed use. The owner's financing is in place, and he has tentative agreement with a general contractor to take over the new development. I'll talk more in detail on our proposed development on the next project. Next presentation. This parcel is partially in a two-family and partially in a retail district. So we are aware that we would have to go to zoning to get a variance to approve a retail. Those are just some pictures of the building, the parking lot in the rear. It's partially asphalt, and then the portion that's two-family is the grass area that's zoned two-family currently. I could not find any records of when this parcel was consolidated, but it appears to have been consolidated many years ago. These are just some interior photos. The foundation is really the issue, along with the structural framing of the building. You know, it's really in bad condition. That's it for this portion of the presentation. Should I continue with the next one?
Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay. Our new proposal would be to mimic the existing mixed-use development. We propose on a two-story building, no basement, 4 storefronts on the lower level. Each would be 1,500 square feet, and then we would have a daycare which would be roughly 5,000 square feet. The owner is in the business of daycares. He has a daycare in the city, and they know how to run daycares, and they feel that that is a integral part of this project is to incorporate a daycare. And along with the building improvements, we'll obviously do improvements to the parking lot, new parking lot, fencing, landscaping, things of that nature. Same photo as before, the zoning. These are adjacent buildings to the property. The first 2 photos to the left would be to the rear or to the west of the property. It's 1 residential unit that would abut us from the back. The next 2 on the top left is a used car mechanic dealership there that would abut us to the south. And then to the north is a walk-up apartment, which is the photos to the bottom, the 2 on the bottom. And then across the street is a school of some kind, charter school or private school. And then catty corner is a convenience store. This is just a cut sheet of a bicycle rack that we propose to use. We'd have 3 on site. This is existing site plan. It shows the existing building. If you note here, the existing building sits right on the sidewalk. The new updated city code has a 10-foot building setback, so our new building would set back 10 feet. Also shown in this here is existing and proposed drive aprons. On Bennington, the drive apron would get shifted south or west, I mean. And then on West 130th Street, the drive apron would get shifted south. This is our proposed site plan. It's a L-shaped building. Accommodates 40, the parking lot accommodates 41 parking spots. Outdoor playground area. Is there a pointer on this? No. No? Okay, bro. No, I have one. I have one.
You're
all right, man.
You fancy folks.
Oh, it doesn't show on the monitor. It
only
shows on the
on-
side though.
I didn't bring my green.
Oh, that's okay. Can I go up there and point then, or, yeah? Our building layout here, L shape. This would be the space for the daycare. They would split, or the occupants would come out for the outdoor playground area through this door here. The main entrance for the daycare would be to the rear, and access would be off Bennington. The 3 welcome storefronts, 2 would be accessed on West 130th Street. And then the 3rd storefront would be exit from the parking lot. And this would be the access to the walk-up apartments up top. At design review, they wanted us to look at flipping this building where this portion here is on West 130th Street. And we did look into that. And we don't really like that option for the reasons that, first of all, we'll have a hard time finding where we would place this outdoor playground area. And then it would limit our access on West 130th Street to one way. And we wanted to keep 2-way traffic. Plus, we would lose like 7 to 8 parking spots. And we really didn't like the parking spots because at this point, we don't know what those retail stores would be, if it would be retail stores or what they would be. And we didn't want to come back and ask for variances again to those requirements. Also at design review, which I didn't have a chance to update, they had asked for a sidewalk along this to create a separation barrier to the building. We have plenty of room to do that. We have 28 feet 8 inches between those. So we would easily accommodate a 5-foot walk there, and that would be shown on the features of the our landscaping. We would have a ornamental fence on the front to a point here, probably even with the building. And then continue board on board fence, and then ornamental fence. Bike rack at this corner here, 2 bicycle racks here. So we had a little bit of landscaping in this area too, feature. That's our proposed landscaping plan, shrubberies and the perennials, ornamental fence detail, 4-foot high fence, aluminum. It's just a floor plan of the first floor, showing our proposed layout for that floor. Walk-up apartments of 4 spacious units, roughly 2,400 square feet each. We could have condensed it down a little bit, but we felt providing spacious apartments was the way to go on this. This is if you're the first elevation up to the top, east elevation. If you're on West 130th Street, that's where you would see the two storefronts. And then that window on the left there, that's the daycare, the L shape to the back. First floor would be a brick facade, followed by a 18-inch sandstone band. Probably vertical siding or some material that we haven't pinned down yet for that second floor. Our windows also, we would enlarge from the 4 feet to probably 6 feet. That was a design review suggestion, which we can easily accommodate that. 18-inch sandstone band on top of the windows there. And then we would have a parapet facade, EPS, and then probably aluminum glazing with for the storefronts with the awning. So, the bottom view is if you're looking from the west, this is the rear of the property, the main entrance to the daycare and the windows and storefront up top. The top view is north elevation. This is if you're on Bennington, looking at the building, that's where you would see the storefront. The two doors there are access for employees to the storefronts. The bottom, if you're on the parking lot side, you would see to the far right, that doorway there is exit to the daycare playground. The next double doors would be the walk-up apartments. The next set of storefront is main access to the storefront that's accessed from the parking lot. And then there would be a man door for that storefront as well. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, sir. I want to recognize that the councilman is online. I'm going to ask Nate to present some information and then we'll turn it over to you, Councilman.
Thank you. Again, Nate Law from Cleveland City Planning. A lot to cover, but the main points are essentially regarding the demolition design review recommended postponing for a period of 6 months to allow for the project to go through more reviews and get it closer to final approval before the demolition is approved. Staff is in support of that recommendation with the criteria listed from the demolition and moving section of the code regarding basically, I forget what 4 and 7 are offhand, but I think it was architectural significance and economic feasibility. So ultimately, we're supportive of the new construction, but want some time to make sure that the plans are, thought out and financially feasible before demolition is approved, so that we don't end up with a vacant lot, essentially. And then to cover the new construction, it was presented at design review at a schematic level. Overall, it received a conceptual support due to the fact that the site plan, they had some comments about the site plan needing to change with regards to the parking and the sidewalk, which they actually mentioned. So overall, we're supportive of the project. We just want to, flesh it out a little bit further and have them study the economic feasibility of it.
Thank you so much. Councilman Casey?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I would concur with Nate, and that I think we're here just a little bit premature. I do believe there needs to be some more study done on the building of the site, the new construction, as well as some other concepts that need to be worked out prior to this moving forward. In support, but I just believe that we're here just a little bit premature. And I did forget that we still have to do the the BZA for the zoning when with the split lot being retail and residential. So again, I concur with Nate, and if we could just come back at a later date after we do some more conceptual with design review to make sure that this project is going to be fully funded and 100% a project that's going to be completed, and that we just don't tear a building down just to have a vacant lot, and that the project will definitely move forward once that occurs.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank
Director,
you.
anything else you want to add? Okay. Commission members, comments, questions, and just one second, we're gonna actually hear from commission members, and then we'll come back to you. Just as a reminder, we heard the full presentation. We will ultimately need two separate motions for the demolition and for the new development, but feel free to make your comments or ask questions now.
Madam Chair, to planning staff, just a kind of procedural thing. It's not to my knowledge that usually with these cases, we scrutinize the kind of financier or the kind of operations in which these people are securing their finances to do their development. As a part of the condition of approval, that seems, maybe I'm wrong there, but could we kind of speak to kind of the logic in this case?
Sure, I'll start and then hand it over to Nate and Councilman. If you'd like to speak on that as well, please feel welcome. On the screen right now is the code around demolitions, which does include the factors that the commission can include in making your decision. Economic viability is one of those. And so because this has come up a lot in this conversation with the design review, and my understanding, the community conversations with the elected leadership, that's why it's coming up with this case specifically.
Before we get off that point, I don't recall ever having this conversation for a demolition. So I wanted to echo Commission Member Sargent's comments. Unless the city has money in this and they understand that the financing is not all in place, the capital stack, I don't know how you can decide whether or not they have financial viability of this project.
I would also,
being totally honest,
I would also say in the other case where it's about like architectural significance, I think unless there's like some kind of rationale, I think nothing has been presented that this building is architecturally significant, and the city's already condemned it. So I think I'm just, with the rationale, I understand that we want the project to be a little bit more fleshed out. I'm kind of with design review's reasoning that, we're not necessarily near final approval. And I can understand maybe that rationale in working with the zoning, and some of the other rationale seems kind of convoluted and doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, I could try to speak on that a little bit. So I think our overall concern is not, do they have the finances today to build this project? I don't think I articulated it correctly. It's essentially, our concern from an economic standpoint is that for the proposed 4 units of apartments at 2,400 square feet is a very hard thing to build in Cleveland. In downtown neighborhoods, that would be a very, hard ask for actually turning a profit to build that. So our concern is overall with the economic viability, and we were asking them essentially to look at maybe doing smaller units and doing additional units to allow for greater chance of feasibility.
So that makes sense to me. Okay. All right.
You have to say what you mean. But anyway, be that as it may. I would like to opine on the design portion of it. I do not agree with whoever identified that this site layout is not adequate. In my professional opinion as an architect, I think this site couldn't be laid out any better. We have children. We don't want to put, if anyone knows anything about West 130th, I was raised on the west side. That is not a particularly safe environment. Because people are trying to jet down there to get to 480 or go to Brook Park or wherever they're going. So I think this site could not be laid out any better. You keep the daycare traffic off of West 130th. It's a safe haven and environment for kids and their parents and and everyone else. Playground is nicely situated. You know, I do, however, agree that a walk should be incorporated along the building to create folks who might be walking there, and think about pedestrians and all people with all types of abilities. So I just wanted to I think design review is totally off base there, because apparently they don't have kids. Because if you drop kids off at daycare, you ever participated in that ritual? It is a ritual, right? So I just wanted to be clear there. And you run a daycare. I'm done. I'll let anyone else opine.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Others?
Yeah, I think I understand why, it's good to see you, Cleo. I understand why there's a desire to not get too far ahead of ourselves on approving the demolition while we're still working on the redevelopment. I think I'm not hyper familiar with the site. There might have been some false starts in the past. So I'm comfortable with that. I will tend to agree with August's analysis about the location of the daycare, but from a different angle. I think it's becoming increasingly common for daycares on main roads to put like stickers and things all over the window, because we don't want people walking by and just staring at children. So if there's an opportunity to just have it be a little further back, that maybe creates the opportunity for actual light to come in. I know, like, I just dropped off my kid at daycare in North Olmsted, and it's the same way, where like they don't want you to see inside from the Plaza parking lot, and I understand it, but it also makes it feel very like institutional at some point. So I think there's a value to having that be off of the main corridor. I think that was my main my other comment on design. My interest in the financial aspect of it is, if it's possible, I'd actually want there to be 4 apartments over the smaller units. I think that we are in a city where there's a housing crunch and people are looking for quality places to live, but they have children, they need multiple bedrooms, and all of our apartment product that's coming online assumes that apartment dwellers are single 26-year-olds and not people with households. So I think that there's a demand for that. My question then just comes down to more like the economics of what the end rent would be for a 2-bedroom versus a 1-bedroom, and relative to the kind of the local market. You know, I know even in my part of West Park, when we talk about explaining to people like the possibility of a low-income housing tax credit, like a workforce development project, and explaining to people that an affordable apartment, so quote unquote, is, you know, $1,000 to $1,200 a month, and people are like, that's affordable. I thought like that's like an affordable apartment's like $600 or $700 a month. So what I just wouldn't want to create a situation where the economics of construction in Cleveland are placing on West 130th Street like a 3,200 2-bedroom apartment, which is probably way over market. So I am interested in sort of unpacking that, because I think that there is a demand for that sort of product, but we're not accustomed to seeing new build in neighborhoods like this at market rate. So I would be interested in that kind of moving forward, because it is something that I think is worthwhile.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, so if we're ready, we're going to move into placing some motions, first starting with the, I'm sorry.
Oh,
yes,
CJ have a
yes,
comment. Yes.
my apologies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like I said, this specifically, the demolition portion was presented before with no proposed reuse. The conditions imposed when the owner was to provide a proposed use. In addition to that, the owner has submitted, even though he's not leveraging any city money or any federal or government money, excuse me, he has provided proof of funds, that he has funds on hand for this project. My initial estimate is 1.4 million for this project. He's provided that, as well as a tentative general contractor. So we feel that, and specifically on the design end for me and my team, we need the demolition to occur, because we got to get survey out. We got to identify the depths of the utilities. We got to finalize the design moving forward. We can't wait 6 months or whenever that time comes for that decision to be made. So we don't agree with postponing the decision on the demolition portion. Yes, we agree the design is not finalized. That's what these review meetings, planning commission design review, and the different reviews throughout the city are for. You go through the process, and it's a lengthy process. I think you've done a lot of projects for the city, and Mr. Whitfield, you've been involved as well. So we feel that the process is long enough as it is. Prolonging it with the demolition and us having to circle back with the design later to finalize, it kind of hinders us and creates a hardship for not only the owner, but for the design team and everyone involved. So for that reason, we favor a favorable outcome where the demolition is allowed to occur, and moving forward, thank you.
Madam Chair, to the applicant team, how long would it take you to determine that you're ready for construction?
Madam Chair, to Mr. Whitfield, we have a 9-month design schedule, and that basically starts at this moment here. We propose on completing design by sometime around December, January, and we have an 18-month construction schedule. So we plan on breaking ground in the spring or summer of next year.
Next year.
So with an 18-month construction schedule, we have a pretty good window for delays, anything of that nature, to bring us on board for final certificate of occupancy.
And demolition of the building would take about how long?
Demolition of the building, like we said, we do have a contractor on board. We do have a permit in with the city. So I'm not sure, like, the initial phases of getting started, but I would imagine within the next 30 to 60 days, we could have the building taken down.
I don't think anybody is opposing this project, but I think the concern is if something goes south, we've got a hole in the ground, well, vacant space, and nothing coming back, and we don't know what that schedule looks like. I think that's the concern that I'm hearing, certainly one of my concerns. And so to you, does it really make sense to take the building down now? Is it absolutely necessary? If not from 3 months or 6 months or whatever it takes, when we're closer, we know that we have pencil on the new building and you're ready to go. It'd be nice to see that site cleared and everything ready to go and be ready to move. So it's a continuous process. And I think that's what I'm hearing.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, to the presenter, you also will have to get a variance for the building. So that's gonna take some time in the process as well, so.
Well, I'm trying to get my head around commission members Sergeant's point about a condemnation order. I ain't that smart. I believe I know what the definition of that means. It means that it's a nuisance, right? Or for whatever reason, whether it's physically unsound, whether there's rodents and other health things that are going on there. So how do you neglect to embrace the fact that the city said this building should be condemned? I'm not done. And so if there's a health risk and we walk away from this table saying, well, you don't have this in place or you don't have that in place, and there's other things that are happening at this site, then we're missing the point here.
I would also say, again, the rationale, and again, I'm going off the rationale proposed by staff that the demolition should be postponed, is on architectural significance and economic feasibility. We've heard from the councilman that while we can kind of pontificate on the size of these units, there is maybe some desire for larger units, which has been proposed. As well as, again, there's no architectural significance to the condemned building as Commissioner Fluker has presented. So I'm struggling to understand the vibe, like why postponing it.
Madam Chair, I think we have a representative from the CDC. Melissa, you had your hand raised?
Miller.
I did. Thank you, Madam Chair, to the committee. We support the project moving forward. We want to see something happen to this corner. It's this would be a huge project for the neighborhood if it happens. I think at this point, why we support the postponement is because we have been working with this property owner since 2021, and we have not seen any movement forward that has been significant or will actually happen other than the desire to demolish the building. The building was purchased, this property was purchased with the desire to demolish the building initially for a used car lot, which he also owns. That's no longer allowed in our neighborhood, according to the zoning. So he has done, at this point, he has done a good job of presenting what an alternative could be. We have asked, like we would in any project, to see that there is proof that funding exists, that the capital stack exists, and we have yet to get that from the property owner, even though we requested it when we had a meeting with the property owner on the phone, as well as the engineer and the councilman. I think that what we would need to see is that that proof that this project could actually move forward. When purchased, the building was not in the condition it is in now. It is because of the owner's neglect of this property. And despite the fact that he claims he sees it every day, the being open and vacant has caused this building to deteriorate to this point. So we are requesting that delay in the demolition until we are sure that the project is moving forward. Once we have that assurance that this project can move forward, we look forward to working with this property owner to see that this is not only just built, but successful in this neighborhood.
So I have one more point, Madam Chair, and you guys are causing me to go here. We can allow the UCIs and the Cleveland Foundations and all these institutions of the world to allow buildings to fall in disrepair as a development business model. And now we're talking about this structure that's not even close to some of the buildings we've allowed these institutions to tear down. That's ridiculous. That's a double standard.
Thank you, Vice Chair. To the director and to the staff, the applicant stated a few minutes ago that they provided proof of funds of $1.4 million, and they have a tentative general contractor slated for this project. What would you want to see from this economic feasibility study that's being proposed as a result of this postponement?
Yeah, to date, we as staff haven't seen either of those items. So if it's appropriate, we would be okay with having those items provided to us. And I just wanted to make a quick point on the criteria for demolition. Number 7, I misspoke. Number 7 is the proposed reuse of the property and its appropriateness. And so with the considerations that we were discussing with the site plan earlier, that was our rationale for the current site plan not being appropriate. Now, the planning commission the site plan. The site plan from our perspective and from the design review committee's perspective was the 2 parking lots were kind of in inappropriate condition. Again, the commission is free to disagree with that, but that was our opinion.
Commissioner Sargent, can you just hold 1 second for your comment? Yes, please.
Okay, Madam Chair, I've done almost every single thing they asked for since I purchased the building. I kept the lots clean. They impounded some of my vehicles. I was okay with that. The building is not safe for anybody. There's homeless people moving in. I had to kick them out. I had to board up windows. They took them away. When the vehicles got impounded, they went in and destroyed the building even more. I provided funds to Austin on March 21st, and he's yet to reply. Yeah, he works for the company that I've provided everything they asked for to tear this building down. Nobody in the area likes it. It's completely unsafe for anybody that walks past it. There's schools all around the area, so why would they want a building freestanding like that in such horrible condition until we get this rolling? I mean, I've provided everything. I've provided plans, money, contractors. I'm not sure what else to do. Everything that I've been doing is exactly what they asked for since the start. And it's not something that I mean, it's costing a lot of money to get to these plans. I'm not doing it just to keep a vacant property. We have to keep rolling, and it keeps costing money. These plans and having people out here coming to meetings is not free. These proposals and site plans are not cheap. The first one we did was maybe like $2,000 or $3,000. A couple years ago, they said that wasn't good enough. Now these plans are costing well over tens of thousands of dollars. What else more can I do to get this approved? I mean, this building is standing in horrible, horrible condition. If you guys walk past it, you guys will cross the street. That's how bad it is. Seriously.
Commission member.
Madam Chair, we also have Shannon Leonard online who'd like to speak.
Let's hear from Commission Member Sargent. I'm sorry.
I hear from Shannon before I say my comment.
Okay. Shannon, please proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Administrator. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of context. So the city's of Cleveland's Building and Housing Department has been actively out enforcing code enforcement and serving violations to a lot of properties in the city. And after substantial violation notices, multiple violation notices, if they are not getting compliance or there's no permits put in for remedying those violations, they send out what is known as the demolition or condemnation notice. The applicant has for the last 3 years received several violations based on our permitting portal, and just recently received the condemnation or we will demo your property notice if you do not meet these violations. And most of the violations are in relation to roof repair as well as exterior maintenance, wall maintenance, and then also because it is vacant. And so that that final violation notice went out while they're in the midst of the permitting system. Now that they have a permit in, that puts that demo notice on hold. So rather than the city doing the demolition, they are asking that the applicant correct their violations. And while they are in the permitting process, the city essentially will not demo the property. In this instance, they are requesting to demo it themselves, but at the same time, they are proposing a new use, but also will need to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, not just for the split zoning issue, but also there's a variety of variances that are going to be required here as well.
Thank you, Shannon. Excuse me, Commission Member Sargent.
So I hear the comment about violations and the principle of like not letting a property deteriorate to the point that, again, the city will have to come and demolish it. But we have someone saying that they will demolish it themselves and then develop it. And we've seen in my tenure as a commissioner, like the last 3 years, how many properties that people have let fall into disrepair and the taxpayer has to pay to demolish it. So I'm struggling, like really struggling to understand the rationale of holding this project up. We've approved many similar projects without asking anyone about their financial capabilities, and I'm really struggling. I hear the kind of, because I worked in the CDC world, so I would love for the CDC to be in support of this, but I also I simply just don't understand from the standpoint of like we see a viable site layout. We see a viable reuse for the project. We see an applicant who's stressed that they've come and they've been trying to work with city staff, and you seem amenable to working with them. And we have a building that is not providing any well-being to the community that should frankly just be taken down. I'm really struggling to understand, and I think unless there's something from staff that we haven't heard, I think we're going to make a motion.
Any other comments from planning staff?
No, none at this time.
Okay. Open up for a motion.
Could we go back to the end? So I just want to make sure that everything's included. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the demolition of 4686 West 130th Street. The applicant, to my knowledge, has provided substantial rationale for the demolition. I'd also like to motion to approve conceptual design for the West 130th mixed-use development.
We have to do one at a time.
Okay, sorry. All right.
Second on the demolition is stated. Second for the demolition is stated by Commissioner Sargent.
We have a motion and a second. Evelyn, roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Slife,
No.
and Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And now we'll take a motion for the mixed use development, excuse me.
I make a motion to approve conceptual design for the West 130th mixed-use development with the conditions that an updated site plan that the applicant provide, the sidewalk, I believe on the west side of the building and the parking lot adjacent to the daycare. And I mean, they can continue to investigate the material selection on the front facade, window sizes, and all those sorts of things. But I think from the standpoint of the commission, we think that the current site layout is the most efficient layout of the site.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Gray Scott.
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you all.
Good to see you again. You too. Yeah.
All right, staying within Far West Design Review, our next item of order. Next order of business is PRJ 26-002961. This is Cleveland Business Park, address at current 0 Rocky River Drive. We have a number of representatives back here. Welcome. If you all can just make sure your mics are on green and just go down the line and state your names for the record.
Matthew Weber with Weber Engineering Services.
You're the pretty one.
You know what? There's a funny story with that. As soon as we left, they absolutely disagreed, and they told me this time I have to do all the heavy lifting.
Okay, more than a pretty face.
Jack Kelly with Canal Properties.
Thank you.
David Perlberg with Joan Properties.
You have a good memory. All right, well, you have the pressure of the clicker there to advance through the presentation, and commission members, just direct your attention to some of the conditions that were noted by a design review just yesterday. Please proceed.
Do you want to do any introduction, or want me to just jump in?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so thanks so much for having us today. You know, we were before you three-ish weeks ago, maybe 4. So here we're seeking schematic approval. I'm trying to remember what those conditions were off the top of my head, but you'll notice we did add some. Oh, so I think we got them right here. But some parking spaces for bikes. We added the sidewalk along Cleveland Parkway out to Rocky River. We did. We now have today, I think, one updated elevation as well as a landscape plan. Anything else? Anything else I'm missing?
I think I just wanted you to tell them how excited you were to be here. Oh yeah, I got it from here. But as Jack was saying, we've addressed, and I want to go through these relatively quickly because I think everybody's seen a lot of them. We'll show the updated, but this is the property to the northeast, if you will, of the airport. A little bit of a blow up here of the actual parcels themselves. Similar presentation as before. Road view kind of shows what you're looking at when you're going up and down Cleveland Business Park. On both the north and the south sides, this is the existing building that's there. Again, the elevations, nothing's really changed from the elevations. We do have a specific tenant that they're working with for the 234,000 square foot building. So we did narrow down that we are only going to use one of the layouts that I believe we presented last time. But these are your standard, we'll call them flex buildings, if you will, for multi-tenant use. A standard floor plan can be divided in any way that's necessary for a prospective tenant. Again, I'll just kind of jump through these. These are the different buildings themselves. And then we'll start to get into kind of the meat here of it. This I went too fast. See, I'm a little too excited, I guess. This is the layout that is intended. It has the 234,000 square foot building, which is your northeast corner. That is a tenant that is, I guess we'll call this a build to suit. This is an intended tenant that wants this specific layout and use. The other two buildings would be, I guess, tenant driven at the time. So this would be our focus for the layout. We did go in and give a little bit more detail just so you can kind of see how these site plans are, and it's maybe hard to see on this, and we can zoom in, but we have addressed the sidewalk along the north side of the Cleveland Parkway. And if you're able to zoom in maybe on the bottom left portion of the building, if we hit the other side of the building, that would be fantastic. There you go. So if you see there, we show a bike rack. We've taken into account the bike rack concerns and requirements. On this particular layout, we just showed a bike rack on this end of the building. One of the comments that came up through schematic review was maybe we distribute that across the buildings. We certainly will do that. Some of that may be tenant driven. If this is if all of a sudden one of these buildings becomes a single tenant and they have a desire to have, employee entrance on one end, we would move that. But we're showing that we certainly want to meet those requirements and will. Along the frontage of the road, we show sidewalk. And if we can blow up there's some benches, if you will, again, kind of throughout the frontage of the property. It's hard to show, but you can see a proposed bench right there. So we've addressed the sidewalk, for continuity across the north side of the property. And then also you can even see on this one, the south side of Cleveland Business Park. We have done that to connect and run across. I'll kind of flip through here. I think if I'm hitting my button correctly. There we go. This is the intended 234,000 square foot building. We have taken the sidewalk across to Rocky River Drive. Also on the south side, made that connection. That was one of the requests. And I believe a couple of things that came up in the commentary yesterday through schematic review was to make some sort of connection between Rocky River Drive and the building along the access drive, that access drive to the north that we show, and we don't see any issue with that. Making a connection there. One comment that you'll see in the review, there was a suggestion to make connection to West 185th Street, which you can barely see just at the top of the page, right in that light blue area on the screen is West 185th Street. From that's something that I think we would want to talk through from a practical standpoint between landscaping. That is there viability to make that connection, but we're not necessarily opposed to it. We just want to make sure we're making the right decision in that connectivity. This is let's see, where am I? The south side now. On the south side, again, we're just showing again that we've added the park benches, the bike racks, and then the sidewalk. And then we've jumped into some, a little bit more of a blow up of some landscaping. Again, our intention is to, meet obviously city minimum standards and requirements. And then also be good stewards for what's going on the north side, to where it makes sense to do some additional screening. Some of those are going to come up more in the final design process when you really see how it lays out for maybe a particular area, might require a few more trees. That was one concern. And those are things I feel we can work through. Again, here's more landscaping blown up, and then those were the fancy bike rack and benches. That bench was something that was, selected where obviously if there's a particular version that the city of Cleveland would like to see, we're happy to go with that. Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District and all of the other agencies have reviewed this in preliminary fashion and have no objections. And then we've done some renderings that at least give some general idea of what the intended look will be from the site. It gives a little bit of a general landscape perspective. The ponds will be dry. Stormwater management will be dry. And really from that perspective, I think we can open it up for questions. Madam Chair.
Awesome. Nate, anything else to add before we open up for questions?
Yeah, so this did go to design review yesterday. Their conditions are on the screen. I think the main point of focus was on the landscaping treatment to the north of the site, closest to the residential neighborhood. One point of conversation was where on building 2, where the rear truck docks are, there seems to be a break in the raised landscaping condition. And so if there's an opportunity to add that berm back in to the site to give more, relief from the residential properties that was there. I think that was their main concern. The other concerns, as mentioned, were providing sidewalk access off that second entry point off of Rocky Road Drive, and if possible and desired by the city, a West 185th pedestrian access to the site. And then maintaining the large trees that are existing that aren't going to be, directly impacted with asphalt or the building where possible. And then just overall changing or spreading out the bike parking locations on site because they're pretty tucked into the site right now. So just changing those around a little bit. So overall, planning staff agrees with those conditions, is in support of the project. And if the commission does not see any major issues today, we would be supportive of allowing the project to return to local design review and staff for final approval.
Awesome. Thank you, Nate, and thank you, gentlemen. Comments, questions from commission members?
I'll just say that I'm comfortable with that. I think if we give schematic approval today, I would like to have some degree of community engagement to kind of inform that final approval. And I think that's talking about things like the landscaping and whether or not there should be connectivity to the side streets. If I were a kid, I'd be riding my bike in a parking lot with a bunch of big trucks. So it might not be something that we want. Yeah, that sounds fun. But yeah, I think it would be useful to explain to the community that, this is allowable per the zoning. So this is not necessarily whether or not something's going to be built here, but it's how we can be as sensitive as possible, get some feedback. I've gotten some questions about traffic and noise and stuff like that. But I think that there's some design options or landscaping options that could help mitigate some of those concerns. So that would be the purpose of the community meeting, and whatever feedback comes from that can be worked through with staff, and that final approval can be given. But I will say, kind of philosophically, a bit uncomfortable putting industrial stuff through like a hyper design ringer when most of our industrial places are not places where people are walking, and industrial buildings need to accommodate the needs of industry more than the needs of external design. So I think that it's a reasonable thing to allow the final approval to go to staff for what it's worth.
Madam Chair, I'd agree with Councilman Slife. I think to the point about the dense landscaping on the northern border of the site, to staff, is there a specific requirement for shrubs that the applicant needs to meet in terms of quantity?
I don't think there's a specific quantity. I think we have general guidelines about like things like height and placement and distance from other shrubs to not impact like roots and stuff like that. But I don't think there's a specific like quantity.
So to that point, and kind of expanding on the councilman's point, I mean, for this kind of land use, unless like the applicant is really interested in like their landscape maintenance plan, like post, you know, I would imagine that this would just benefit from just additional trees. I think like the shrubs are nice in places where people are walking and stuff like that. But if we can do kind of screening requirements with just, you know, evergreen trees and just maybe again add to the tree canopy and not, you know, on like landscaping needs or maintenance needs that the applicant, I'm sure no one wants to like go water these 5 shrubs that you're putting in a random location. We can just like spread out trees, right? You know what I'm saying? I think like for this specific land use, the landscaping strategy can be different, right? So I would imagine that, you know, with that kind of northern buffering, you know, accomplish that with a mix of deciduous and evergreen trees, and then the rest of the area as well, that would probably suffice in my opinion, and probably make the best use of the applicant's money. But then also, you know, again, we to the point we don't need, you know, then kind of standards around an industrial park.
And that's appreciated because that's common at times. There's a certain amount of landscaping that's required, but just to spread it out may not make sense. It may to specify some areas where it may be a little bit more valuable in the neighborhood. So we certainly would do that.
Just one more comment, if I could. When you're landing in the flight path to Milwaukee Airport, someone painted "Welcome to Cleveland" on a giant roof. So I just want to put out there that there's an opportunity to do something very funny here with our "Welcome to Milwaukee" sign. So just something to consider.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah, we are considering that heavily. So.
All right, if there's no further comments or questions, we have a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval, schematic approval on the project PR J 26002961 with the conditions that were outlined by the Far West Design Review, and also the conditions that were stated by the councilman for community meetings.
Are you good?
And also that.
And it going to staff for final approval on landscaping. Is that what it was?
Just for general.
Just for general.
For general.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Anthony.
Yes.
Luker.
Yes.
Gray Scott.
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you so much. Great to see you all. And I can't harass you anymore.
You know, it's.
Okay, we're gonna move over to Downtown Flats Design Review. Our first item on docket is DF 2026-007. Meet me here, Plaza. This is located at the corner of Ontario and Huron. We have a number of representatives here. Also, just directing commission members to some comments here in our agenda. Just for expediency, I'm just going to have you all unmute and state your names for the record, please.
Good morning, Nora Romanoff.
Good morning.
Good morning, Anthony Bonavita. Good morning, Colin Davis.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here today.
You guys have frequent flyer miles here.
I told someone who comes to a lot of our programs I was going to start charging her rent. I was like, I'm just going to collect 5 cents every time you come to my office because you're coming to all of our programs. So maybe we'll start doing that. Revenue stream. All right, I'm going to turn over to staff first before we jump into the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Dan Schinkel, Principal Planner for Downtown Flats. Just wanted to talk through where we were just about a month ago and where we are today. and just highlight a couple elements. There's a couple variances needed for some of the signage that we'll get to towards the end. And we'll have to carry that forward in our motion. Quickly, about a month ago, they went through Downtown Flats and received conceptual approval. And those conditions with that approval are listed here. The applicant has now addressed most of these. So trees are now in ground. They have made some modifications to their fencing. The Meet Me Here sculpture is now fully on pavement. They are now showing some additional hoops in the area that will be more of like a rollout hoop kind of situation at times. One of the conditions talked through additional amenities for like active and passive uses, which the applicant has really talked about that being more of a phase 2 component to the project. And then developing Ontario as a gateway to downtown and a gateway to the district, including some welcoming pedestrian access and additional usable space at the corner of Ontario. They've also talked about that being as a potential phase 2. Planning staff at the time had really sought to shift the court to the northeast. And really our thought process there was to make enough space left over in the park for the DCI playground grant. And we worked with Cullen and the MKSK Osborne staff, the Cavaliers on, if that was, feasible to do. They really, and I'll defer to you guys to talk through some of that, but things like site constraints and timeline really weighed heavily on those conversations. So they weren't able to accommodate that. We also asked to master plan the full site, like thinking about this phase 2 and how it all works. So that came to you guys, and you guys gave schematic approval, including all of those conditions, and also to consider wind-breaking options for the basketball court. So we're back here today for final. We'll let the applicant proceed through the presentation, then we'll discuss what Downtown Flats conditions were applied last week, and then Xavier will also walk through the signage variance components, but we'll defer.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Good morning again to the commission. Thank you for having us. I know I sound like a broken record when I sit at the table and say, we've come to you just now a few weeks later, but it represents just a terrific amount of work. We've done it as we typically do together with the city, including but not limited to the director, Dan, Linda behind us, our site development team, and others at the city. So you will see here reflected in the updated presentation changes and comments. And I know we'll talk through a very robust conversation we had with design review. Given your agenda, we'll jump right into it. And I know that often the preference is to focus on what's changed since we were here last week, and certainly do that. But please feel free to stop as we're going through. Thank you again.
Right. So we'll focus on what has changed primarily. So moving quickly through these initial slides, existing context, everything remains as presented last time in terms of location and context. This is our revised site plan, taking the comments from both the committee and the commission, incorporating trees in ground for kind of a more permanent and lasting effect. We've also increased the number of trees. We were able to do that after verifying through survey that we were staying under our half-acre disturbance level. We've incorporated, you can see that kind of extended arc connection onto Ontario. That brings you directly to the plaza, trying to create a throughway path through the plaza and through the park. We have moved the Meet Me Here sculpture, are showing it in a proposed location. We acknowledge this needs to be confirmed by the artist, but our original location left in its existing location, or we can move it here with their permission. So we are comfortable with either. We have also incorporated a kind of larger enclosure and 2 scales of fencing around the basketball courts. So taller 8-foot fence. It is black chain link for the backstops, and then when it comes around the north and south sides of the court, we have it lowered down to a 42-inch height to still contain the balls from through play, but keep it still being open and inviting and not feeling like it's fully enclosed. We also, through some of the conversations here and with the city as well, trying to add variety where we can in this initial activation. So we have some leaning rails that are doing double boot duty as kind of blocking as last kind of barrier to the fencing along the south side there. You can see 3 of them lined up. We've also incorporated a pixel bench for more, what we can do in the limited way this first initial activation is add some areas where kids can climb and play and really, provide a little bit of variety and fun to the site. So you can see that in the upper right-hand corner of the plaza. I've hit all the primary. We did speak and go through a workshop with the city on kind of what were our constraints, what are our site constraints. Our biggest one for this kind of initial activation is our half-acre threshold, trying to stay under that for disturbance. Really just couldn't meet the June date if we go beyond that. Also, there are, the plan is to make this a major moment in the city with the future phases. This is, by acknowledgement, an initial celebratory moment that will be built upon. So we want to provide the flexibility for that. And so, things like going out into the sidewalk or into the right of way, definitely considerations for future phases, but not for this initial one. And then you can see our construction documents here, just mirroring, but showing a little more detail of all the elements that are included. We also have made sure that the trees that are proposed are kind of a medium stature, that their max height will not be blocking any of the existing LED signage or currently proposed banner, future banners. We want to make sure that that's all open and visible. And so you can see the revisions here through the rendering. So that new connected pathway, the additional trees, the relocation of Meet Me Here, and the fencing that's transparent, but still doing a job of, providing the safety and security to players there. This is our furnishings and site amenities plan, just again highlighting where things are. And then no changes here, same proposed material for the hardscape and for the court. We have been further refining the court graphic, trying to incorporate some of the names of the players, some of the kind of quintessential moments of the championship, and then some of the dates below. So this is a little bit more refined for what the final graphics will be. Let me see, changes here. The pixel bench that you can see there, that is the newer bench element that we've incorporated. It allows for a little bit of climbing. It doesn't, it's fun, but not, a true play structure. She doesn't require any sort of play surfacing. We have incorporated the leaning rail that you see in the upper right. Because of the additional pathway, we did need to incorporate a pedestrian light to really we will hit city code for lighting just by the ambient light that's there. But by the time we are lighting the courts, the rest of the areas will feel darker. So we needed to incorporate a pedestrian light. And then the update to the chain link fence. And then, as I mentioned, we're selecting species that have a kind of medium height max, so they'll stay within the appropriate range. No change to tree protection. It will still remain at the exterior. For a moment in time right now, there is a Cleveland sign on the corner. So if anyone drives by there, our fencing is acknowledging that. So it will be moved before the project is completed and the fencing will be moved. And then we have received our stormwater determination, and we wanted to share, we have also looked at, and Dan mentioned how this is a big court. We acknowledge that it's a single court, how you could further activate it with additional kind of portable hoops that can be brought out, how those lay out, do you have enough space to play? And while there's seating proposed for that kind of semicircular arc, future iterations, we've also looked at, can we put a half court out there for scale? So this is another kind of programming aspiration that the CAPs have for, as they're activating this after completion. And then, I don't know if Brian is on. Does he want to speak too? Brian, are you on the call?
And then it might be on too.
Do you want to speak to these next slides? Just a little more detail on the banner.
Sure. Good morning, Ryan Moosberger with Rock Entertainment Group. And just what's proposed here is a mesh banner. We're working with Brilliant Electric Sign Company on it. They would install a cable system under the structure that would allow for the banner to be changed out if it needs repaired or replaced, but it's 35 feet tall by 182 feet wide.
I'll go ahead in a second, but I do want to note here to Commissioner Sargent's comments last time, we have reduced the size of the banner. We're trying to scale it so it's very apparent as you're coming down Ontario. It's something that everyone will notice, but we did not want to fully block the architectural statement of the garage behind. So trying to toe that line. Ryan, let me know if there's anything else here you need to comment on.
No, this is just the structure. Jim, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yes, thank you. The entire system is engineered system with stamped engineered drawings to mount in with the least amount of fasteners into the garage. They can, if the banner ever goes away and the mounting system goes away, the holes can be repaired and filled with mortar, so the garage would be intact. It's a proven system that we've used other places. It keeps the banner nice and taut and straight and tight. It is a mesh banner as well, so there will be airflow through back into the garage where the holes are. So there's not a lot of stress being put onto the banner. That's about the simplicity of it.
I think this is probably, yeah, that's worse. So that concludes our presentation.
Thank you.
Great, thank you guys. So this came through Downtown Flats last week and was approved for given final approval with a condition. And that was to consider creating a temporary path from the Ontario-Huron corner to the west end of the basketball court. Essentially, whether that was shifting that existing path so it really marks that corner, especially as a desire line, or just, kind of laying out how those pathways function and to get a pathway there. I did want to kind of talk through some of the committee commentary. The reason they kind of zeroed in on the Ontario-Huron corner is that they expressed a desire to see more of a civic gesture at that point rather than just a sports gesture. They really noted that this is your, gateway to downtown. You kind of get off the freeway or you're driving up Huron or Ontario and you really feel like you're arriving. And this space has looked essentially like in their mind incomplete all these years. So it's nice to finally have this project coming forward. I think it starts to make that corner more prominent. But they really wanted to get something maybe vertical or some sort of gesture at that point. They also just discussed that these ideas of temporary things, as previously discussed with them, tend not to, they tend to last 10 to 20 years, sometimes in Cleveland. And I think it's helpful to note just the early site plans where we see Meet Me Here Park situated amongst things like the Cavs Clinic and Cosm that have broken ground, and the amphitheater being announced now too. So we have a different sort of applicant, and I think they were just weighing that situation of knowing that temporary, sometimes we get burned on that in the past, and not wanting to set a precedent, and knowing that this applicant is actually moving ahead on many projects at the same time. They also wanted the 2 points to the commission that they wanted your opinions on is whether or not a playground makes sense here. We had one committee member in particular who really felt like this was not the right place for a playground, as like part of that phase 2. So we'd love to hear feedback on that piece. And then they also just felt like until the city really understands the long-term game plan here with the Cavs, that we really shouldn't be investing much more until we understand the phase 2. They even toyed with the idea of like, should the city just sell the lot to the Cavs or to Bedrock? So that was sort of the commentary behind. And then I'll defer to Xavier because we will need a couple of variances as part of a motion today as well.
Thank you. Great. I'm going to stay over here if that's okay. Good morning again, Xavier Bay in the zoning section of city planning. Next slide, please. Thanks. So the proposal here is actually for a 6,370 square foot temporary banner. Next slide, please. So location is, as we all know, downtown in a general retail business district. Another aerial view here, just to give you another contextual photo. I'm sure we're all familiar with the downtown area. Some more street view photos you can see going up and down Ontario and Huron, where you see the stadiums and a lot of the entertainment uses. Again, why are we seeing this? This is a sign proposed in a design review district in which this body has the ability to vary our sign code. And really, again, just reiterating, we're looking at the design compatibility, design guidelines, making sure that any type of variation here is suited for the area that we're talking to. Next slide, please. I included this portion here. It's a banner definition, and to be more specific, a temporary banner definition. And so our code generally allows up to 25% of the permitted sign area, and the time is only 4 months in the calendar year. And so the variances here are going to be exceeding the 4-month time mark, proposing 1 year, so 8-month variance, and then the area of the sign needs the variance for 6,221 and a quarter square foot. And that's pretty much it. Next slide, I think, just recaps, our consideration about design compatibility and making sure that this is suitable for the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. All right, we will open up for comments and questions from commission members.
Madam Chair, before the commission goes, I did have a message from Councilmember Starr, who was here earlier but had to leave because of a conflict. He shared with me in the hallway on his way out that he is very interested in meeting with the applicant to learn more about the project, and he wanted to request a postponement in order for that meeting to happen.
Good morning again. I had a chance to connect with Kevin Clayton from our team, who was supposed to meet with Councilman Starr a few weeks ago on this. I personally spoke to Darryl from Blaine's office about this, so we kind of were tag teaming. I'm not sure yet what happened with that communication, but we're committed to making sure that he's, fully engaged in the project. We are working through a license agreement and then all that stuff, and so we're constantly working to make sure that we're keeping everybody in the loop on all the projects that we have going on. So I give you my assurance, we will follow up with Councilman Starr and make sure that we are fully aligned with him and understand any, concerns that he might have. I'm not really sure, other than we didn't get to him. So at this point, I can't get a hold of Kevin. We're on a volunteer thing today. So I asked him to call me when he's done. And I will spend the rest of the day making sure we get this rectified, because that's not our intention at all.
Thank you. Thank you, Director.
I just wanted to clarify, we're narrowly speaking about the sign today, or we're talking about the entire thing? The whole thing. Okay. I'll let Drew go first.
All at once.
Okay. I just normally signs are different, so I just wanted to make sure that I was not misunderstanding. But I'll let Drew go first since he's the landscape
I was
guy.
gonna
He
go
seems
real
eager.
quick
Okay,
after.
I'll let August go first. Sure.
No, obviously we have to keep it light sometimes. I wasn't here when you presented this the first time, and I tried to brief myself as much on this, and I'm trying to figure out how this court's going to be used, because one part of my brain saying, just due sort of southeast of this site is the highest concentration of public housing in the country, and it's a shiny new port. Again, it's one port. And it could be, that's great, I suppose, right? I just don't know how that dynamic plays out, because if any of you guys have played pickup basketball in the hood, it's like, I got next. That didn't come from the tagline. That's someone waiting to play basketball. So again, I'm just trying to understand how that manifests, how it's maintained, how it's used, how is it, or conversely, it could be a white elephant where it's not used unless people come down to the game. So I'm trying to grapple with those two extremes, and I'm done. I'm not looking for an answer, but if you.
What we know today, the intention here is to create a space for everyone, right? We're going to put programming out there as well. We're working through all that. That's why we showed kind of different iterations of courts, where we can bring more baskets out. We can do different things. We have an amazing youth program. We have over 60,000 kids registered in that youth program. We also have the Cavs wheelchair team. Like we're looking at all those opportunities, but some of the best ideas we get are from other people. And Indiana has renovated their facility, and they put a basketball court right outside their facility. And yes, you're right. On game nights, it's active for hours and hours after the game. Same thing in California at the Intuit Dome, which obviously weather-wise doesn't always compare to us. But we're also thinking future forward, right? We're going to have a WNBA team here in 2028. So there will be a lot more program that can be happening there, plus a lot more games that'll be happening throughout the season, throughout the year. And again, this is a mainstay of a future iteration of the park that we're in a position where it's hard for us to kind of fully get into it, because we're going to have, it involves an active player. And so we're trying to, get everybody to join us on the journey and the vision of what the space will be like. And we truly believe it's going to be one of the most incredible spaces in Northeast Ohio. Once we are able to get to the next phase of it. But this is kind of the mainstay piece, and the court's open to the public. When we do our program, we'll put signs out and put some hours on to tell people where it is. But we're really hoping there's kids and people from work that are playing out there all day, every day.
So I just want to start the discussion by kind of acknowledging the level of cooperation with the Cavs, Bedrock, starting with the master plan, subsequent projects, and feeling like the collaboration between the commission and, you all has been kind of superb. But I just want to use this project as a time to kind of allow for like a reset and kind of check in on a number of lines of that level of collaboration. My first point of concern, and it was in the conditions, with the kind of layout of the site with regards to the sport court kind of layout. I think just rule of thumb, that north-south kind of orientation of a basketball court, sports courts, former stages, outdoor, with regard to sun angles, just seems to make sense, right? So we kind of push that forward. I think it's come from design review, the city, but then also this body, right? So to me, like the adequate study of that. I understand the kind of nature of being within the half acre for not, triggering stormwater and all that kind of stuff. To me, it seems like that somehow can be accommodated. Again, with the primary use of the site being to play basketball, the kind of layout should accommodate the best kind of basketball intent, right? So just that kind of ripple effect on how the rest of the site is laid out subsequently. We don't know what is going to be in the phase two. I'd like to believe that just in a sustainable framework of mind, like
the first phase of this, unless we're going to rip the whole thing up, should be, built upon, right? So like we shouldn't do anything in phase one that doesn't really make sense in phase two. We don't know what phase two is. You understand you're working on it, but to me, again, doing things that, again, the primary use is not kind of being kind of considered in the layout of the site doesn't really make sense to me. The second thing, I think the commission development, great projects within the city. And a lot of the times we hear cases from applicants, whether it's contingent on financing, whether it's contingent on tax credits, whether it's contingent on permitting process. Hey, we got to get this in before this happens or we won't be able to build. And while I understand the implications of doing the design work, I'm a practitioner myself, it's on the applicant as well as the designer to make sure that you're getting things on time. And we will do the things that are under tight constraints, but we don't want to set a precedent where like we are getting things where, hey, if you want it done, we got to get it right now. We don't have adequate time to have the review process, right? And I think because of the slate of projects that are going to come in the future from the same applicant pool, we don't want to set a precedent in this project that, again, hey, either we do it right now the way that we presented it or we get nothing, right? So I think this is tagging along in with the number of conditions that were asked to be studied and presented back to the commission or design review in consideration for approval for final. The last point is that, again, this body works, conditions of approval are conditions for approval, right? So in the same way that even large bodies like the clinic, the more recent project near Rocky River, number of constraints with regards to drive aisles on the lane, the parking garage, whether brought up from this commission or members of the public, in request for final, the clinic brought back not only their presentation, but a number of slides explaining rationale why either things could be accommodated or not accommodated. And I think what we're asking, or what is generally, I would say, mandatory, is that level of cooperation and collaboration be done. So like if we're going to not do a condition, whether it's Councilman Slice's, windscreen, or are asked to look at the orientation of the court, at least present the rationale to the body that we understand why things are not being done. So I think, outside of the Councilman Starr's request to postpone, I was going to make a request to postpone based on the three kind of points that I laid out there. And again, it's really about understanding where we sit in this process and where you all sit in this process and making sure that like we understand each other in terms of, again, the framework that we want to review projects with you and in their entirety on a timeline that we get to actually provide comment that you can then provide comment back to us. So it works out that way. And I think we've had that in the past. I think this project presents a very different kind of benchmark in that relationship.
I would like to bring up what I bring up every time you guys are here. And this actually demonstrates the point I'm about to make. I am very concerned about Ontario. And I say this every time you're here. You have the bridge coming up. We're planning things and things are manifesting themselves, and we're appreciative of that. We need more stakeholders like you. However, there's no plan. Things are sort of happening because they're happening, and I just don't understand what that experience looks like from Carnegie to Public Square. I don't have a grasp on it. I'm uncomfortable because this is sort of like how hospitals grow organically, right? Oops, we need a surgery wing or we need a trauma. You keep building and then you create this maze of bridges and a network of sidewalks and graphics trying to navigate. I'm not suggesting that's here, but what I'm giving you just that analogy to drive home my point. What is going to happen on Ontario? There's hundreds of millions and billions of dollars being planned and have been built. I just think we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the community. We owe it to, quite frankly, the city and all the people who come here to visit us. I mean, we got to up our game, right? At the end of the day, when I go to cities, I remember things that last with me. because they're impressionable and impactful. So just want to throw it out there. I know we're not here to talk about that, but I'm going to keep saying it. I'm the vote race. As many times as you guys won't come here, I'm going to continue to say it. So thank you.
To the chair, if I could just respond to one item Mr. Sargent brought up, and I hear you and I see you on all three. I want to know, I regret that given that we added to our deck just yesterday, the programming study based on comments that you made, this slew of information that we would have provided on the court move and that we shared back and forth together with the city, exhibits and documentation were not included in the deck. And we certainly would have, I know that, in a bag of chips, get you a bag of chips, but to just know, and maybe it's mostly for the record, that those documents were absolutely not done in a vacuum. In fact, they were done together, to go to your prior 2 points. So, you know, we would have been accused in the past of having extremely long presentations, addendums, maybe late additions to the deck to, you know, Dan's consternation, but they exist. And so I want to note that they're there certainly for review. We've shared them with the city. We've done them together with the city. And so at any requests, obviously we would provide them. So that was not an omission, a deliberate omission.
I'd love to see them.
I'm Sharon, do you mind if I answer one thing?
Yes.
You know, I think I said this last time I was here. We know we came here in not the best way because our ideas came to us way too late. But we do have a moment we're trying to meet. And that's what's really driving us kind of fast forwarding through the process. I know the two women on either side of me are very, very good at making sure that they follow process and do the right things. It's me they have to try to keep in check half the time. It's not our intention to circumvent the process moving forward or asking for this type of expediency moving forward. Those situations may come up again, but we have a moment in time we're trying to meet, and we own the fact that we came to the table late. But we are trying to make that moment, and we're really trying to be there with our team too, and hope they make that moment, because I think it would be amazing for all of us if we were playing basketball and get the chance to recognize the 10th year anniversary of the team. So I just want to share with you that this is on us, and that we appreciate everyone's help to kind of get to this point.
Thank you for reiterating that. Thank you for the accountability. I think, at least from my book, that holds a lot of weight. And I also appreciate my fellow commission member Sargent's comment. I think, you know, it can be a slippery slope. And so I really appreciate the due diligence that you presented today, and just making sure that we're clear that we understand situations happen, but we also want to protect the integrity of these processes in a way that exceptions don't become the norm, and that, you know, we do try to all of our best abilities to adhere when we are able. So thank you both. Other comments, questions?
I've just two questions, I guess. One, what staff? Hey, there. I was looking for Nate, so you're right in front of me. I'm curious the rationale of people saying a playground is not this isn't the right location for it. I tend to be happy to get my kids on a playground at every opportunity. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, so as one of the, you know, the lone landscape architect on planning staff, you know, building parks over time, it's always a thought process around traffic and making sure kids aren't running into the road. Mm-hmm. I think because there was nothing truly to look at and respond to, everybody's worst fears kind of crumble up. Naturally, right, when you have kids, you protect them from all the madness around, potentially around them. So in this case, I think we've kind of studied downtown as this place that should and could be a viable place for families and kids to really have fun and joyful moments, and not just bars and restaurants, right? So we find that, and the city honestly doesn't own a lot of property on this side of the downtown area, a lot of green space that could be playgrounds. So we see this as a potential. Things like fencing and things like that could really help make changes to the commission member Fluker's point. Like Ontario, we know changes will happen there. And, you know, we put in the one-way pairs on Huron already. That gives you additional buffer space from vehicular traffic and kids. So I think that needs to be thought through in full. But as a landscape architect who's built a lot of urban playgrounds, I feel like it can happen here. I think it's just a fear of how close that is. I think his other point was that arriving downtown, like, is that the look and feel that you want of the city? Is when you arrive here, you see play. And, you know, I get that there's maybe a more formal civic gesture that could occur. But I'm biased because I'm a landscape architect who built playgrounds. I'd love for a playground to be the gateway to our
Yeah,
city.
I 100% want to see people out playing and acting like a city is a city where people live and not just a gallery. It's my opinion. I guess the other thought is, and I know that the low fence is partially from my comments last go around, but I worry that on the north side and then the south side, if is it necessary on the north side, or do we want people to have access to that green space? And on the south side, do we want it to frame the corner so people have access to that green space? Otherwise, if the fencing is so close in, then it sort of becomes dead space, and like that's where you might want playground in one of those two locations. So I guess I would just kind of reconsider the location of the low fencing, and if we're trying to maximize area within the block that people can walk versus this kind of unintentionally restricting it, and kind of creating that corner of being just like a giant desire path almost. I'll leave it there because
the LOW there is limit of work.
Limit of work, yeah, never mind.
Confused our committee too.
Okay. So where is the lower fence that was discussed? There said there were two fences.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the same
You can
confusion
see
at
it
the committee level.
Here. So blue is the cyan blue is the
high
outline of the fence. Well, that's the fence in total.
Yeah.
There is a break on the south side where you see an F3A and F3B. That's where it transitions from being, it kind of holds the corner for, you know, three-pointers getting errant three-pointers, strong arms. And then going down low at that 3B. So it's low, I can't point here, for almost the entire length on the south and north sides.
Also, then I will then again state my comment that I think that having a low decorative fence on the corner of Ontario and Huron would help people activate that space, but would create a safety of people not feeling like people are going to be running in off the road with traffic and stuff. Like, it helps confine younger kids in an otherwise busy intersection, I think would be a useful amenity, and would also keep people from just trampling that as they're leaving the arena and trying to walk towards Public Square in mass hordes of humanity. Yeah, I'll leave it there because I don't know where, I can't tell the temperature of where the committee is with a specific motion, but I will say maybe if there is a continued need to outreach to the councilman, which I hope that can be scheduled quickly. Perhaps that's whether we are postponing or conditioning that as something, because I do think that's important, but I also know that other colleagues have other reasons that they were considering postponing. So I will myself hear that.
Madam Chair, to the applicant, and kind of thinking about the gesture here with the motion, with the previous schematic approval, you guys have already started pulling the permits. This final approval today, in terms of your process, what does that do for you?
That I can answer. So that will allow us right now. We are securing the site, doing the kind of site prep and foundations. With final approval, we can begin construction of the actual vertical elements on the site. Without it, we would be postponed until the approval. That will, and I say this with all the humility in the world, we won't make June. We're not April. So our team, this team is a very committed team in terms of construction, design, ownership. Everyone has been all in on it. There are hundreds of emails a day on this one. So trying to make this celebration happen. There's a lot of commitment going to it, but there is a moment where we just have to say we won't make that date. So I know that has a lot of gravity to it, and I also apologize for the timeline that we have put before you. So that's what I can say to that timeline.
So, I will not be the Grinch that stole Casmus.
You're so funny.
I think again, with the reiteration of my comments prior, we understand the moment, and again, I think it is the kind of spirit of this commission to not stand in the way of things that mean a lot to the city, but in that same point, to make sure that we are the kind of the folks that hold a level of quality, right? And we're hoping that again, with what we've discussed here, that phase 2 is even twice as good as you thought it was going to be, right? And I think again, a lot of the concerns that are with the kind of site orientation right now are things for you to kind of think and work on for phase 2. I think, I don't know about the councilman's kind of contact, but I think you've kind of expressed that you'll work on that right away. With the kind of expressed thought that without kind of approval today, there will be no Tapsmas, as I'm dubbing it right now. I'd like to motion for final approval with some conditions that I think should be adhered to. I think, the one thing that we did not discuss with regards to, I think it's separate from layout, is just the variety of seating. I think some of the seating options are, I guess, interesting. The pixel climber thing, I think 5 kids get on it and then it's done. The render shows of hundreds of people. Again, to my point earlier about the activity being primarily for people to play basketball, I just simply don't understand why we can't do bleachers or something that accommodates people watching the game. I just think it doesn't really make sense to me that we're going to have a spectacle standing around a fence and not sitting down to view it, right? And however that amalgamation of seating happens, I just think we need approach to seating that again still doesn't prohibit program. I think you talked about how you want to program the site, but I think again, if you're talking about a thing that's welcome for everyone, seating is the number one way you make that possible, right? And again, to include the variance requested for the temporary banner sign, the additional 6,221 square feet required for.
Excuse me, sorry. I think Shannon actually has her hand raised. I think there was a slight miscommunication.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Administrator. I just want to clarify the variances requested here. This is a temporary business identification wall sign. Temporary is 30 days. And so they're asking to go longer than temporary days to 30 days to change out the signage over time, I believe through administrative approval. I think the recommendation is to allow the temporary to go up to a year. And so they do not need that 6,000 square foot variance. They do need the variance to be a major assembly facility and for the time extending 30 days up to whatever you all choose to condition it for.
So just the time needed, right? Is what I'm hearing, Shannon?
Yes. And a larger than available public temporary business identification sign.
And that's not specific square footage. It's just the idea that it's larger than normal.
It's not a specific square footage. It's because it's a major public assembly facility rather than giving it a 6,000 square foot variance.
Okay, so with the variance that this sign will be larger than what is typically allowed within temporary business signage, as well as the variance for the 1 year requested time for the temporary sign.
Can we add administrative?
30 days.
Okay. From 30 years to 1 year with 30 days Wait,
September's
30 days to 1 year. We're giving, yeah, okay.
Administrative
And-
approval of any design changes if you
And
want to
then
swap out.
administrative approval from any design changes, with the on-court, okay. And, okay, that's my motion. And outside of that, I don't know what happened with the fire. The fire looks kind of crazy. I can't see the V. I think this version looks better, but like, that's not. You know?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
McCray Scott.
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Blythe.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Ms. Romanoff?
Yes, Mr. Fluker.
You have something?
Thank you.
Oh.
I was going to say, thank you, and we appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you. All right, as we transition, our next item on the agenda is public art design review, excuse me. We have a public art program at a couple of locations, Lake Pool Park, Glendale Park, and Sterling Recreation Center. Addresses are noted here in the agenda. We have Tara present to talk through these projects, and this is coming to us for final approval. Welcome.
Morning. Thank you. I'm here to get the final approvals for 3 facilities on the public art components generated through the public art program. The 3 places are Lake Pool Park, Glendale Park, and Sterling Recreation Center. So this is just a map showing those 3 locations within our city limits and the artists that were contracted for each project. We're going to start with Lake Pool Park, which is at 1341 West 85th Street. That's in the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood. When the project started, it was in Ward 15, Jenny Spencer's ward, and now it's in with the new boundaries, Ward 11. There was a full renovation of the park with the exception of the pool, with the renovation budget of $653,597 and a public art budget of $20,000. The renovation of the park was completed last year. This is an overview of the neighborhood to show the park location. Oh, and I do want to add, oh, she's not here, never mind. That's an overview of the park location. And this is the conceptual plan of the renovations, some pre-construction photos of the park for context. When Jenny Spencer was the council person for the ward residents and stakeholders are very vocal that they wanted whatever the public art was going to be in the park to pay homage to Walter B. Wright, who was a prominent Black Clevelander who lived near the park 100 years ago. And that's his home in the picture next to him. So the artists, there were 13 applicants, 4 were disqualified for incomplete submissions, so there were 9 eligible applicants. The Public Art Committee, interviewed 3 finalists, and the selected artist was Lizzie Arnholt. She conducted quite a bit of research through the Western Reserve Historical Society, as well as descendants from Walter B. Wright's family, in addition to multiple in-person charrettes, including at Cudell and some online surveys. I was able to attend one of those community engagements with her. So these are just photos up close of the pool house, a further away view of the pool house, and then an old historical photo of Mr. Wright. And this is at one of the community engagement charrettes that she did that I was able to attend. So as far as wallpaper preparation, she's going to do some sanding, scraping, cleaning, and prime the wall with Richards brand Thor Universal Primer. And she's going to use Rich Classic interior, exterior acrylic paints and clear coat it with Benjamin Moore Cortec clear acrylic sealer. These are her designs. They're going to be on 3 different walls of the pool house. Here you'll see the primary wall, that's Mr. Wright's portrait. There's a bunch of integration of other elements tied to Mr. Wright, like his work with the railroad, his home, some poetry. that they found in his scrapbooks. So that's the wall facing West 85th and the wall facing the back of the park. So each of these walls will have artwork. These are just the secondary walls that you're seeing here. So the text throughout the mural is a poem called The Difference that was found in his scrapbooks at the Western Reserve Historical Society. So snippets of that poem, or one snippet from it, will be on each wall. And that's it for that one. And it did get the support of Nikki Hudson, Councilwoman Nikki Hudson as well. I don't know if you all want me to go through all three and then do the motions for each location. Okay, so we're going to continue then with Glendale Park. And I do want to note that the artists selected for Glendale Park, Snack Break Studio, represented by Kim Lavery and Ronnie Callahan, they are online to join and co-present. So I am going to turn it over to them at a point. This one's at 3813 East 149th Street in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood. It was Kevin Bishop's ward. It's now in Joe Jones' ward with the new boundaries. It was a full renovation of the park, again, except the pool, with a $1.5 million renovation budget and $22,597 for public art budget. The renovation is completed. This is just an overview of where the park is between Bartlett and Glendale Avenues. And these are some pre-construction photos before the renovation. And then this was the conceptual plan for the park. And then these are the existing conditions. I'm not sure if that's the right conceptual plan I had up in the presentation. So again, this was 13 applicants. 4 were disqualified for incomplete submissions. There were 9 eligible. We interviewed 3 finalists, and the selected contracted artist was Snack Break Studio. And Ronnie and Kim engaged the community through charrettes. One of which was here at the Zelma George Recreation Center during Black History Month. And this is just them talking to some of the community members about the project and getting their feedback. And this is the site layout of the park and the artwork. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie and Kim to go through their proposal.
Thanks, Cara. For those, we'll advance your slides on this side.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. You can see here, this is a overhead map of the park area. We have a little key here. The red areas are the areas that we're going to activate with paint. On the ground, cement, but we will have some on a seating wall that we'll show you later. So anywhere you see those little red clusters, that's going to be mural artwork, paint. And then anywhere you see that little blue, which is by the pool house, that's where we're going to have a sculpture outside. All right, so this is the sculpture. You'll see a rendering of the, well, Ronnie, you can jump in.
Yeah, sorry, I was fiddling with the button.
Okay.
So for the sculpture, we're proposing essentially pool noodle sculpture. So they are 4-inch wide diameter steel rods. Essentially, they are curved at different radius, from softer to a little more tight of a curve, with a flange base of 12 inches. And on the next slide, we'll talk about the method of attachment. So the method of attachment is a toggle, it's like a compression bolt. Basically, it's drilled into the cement, and then once the coupling is hit with the bolt, it expands inside the cement, holding it in place. So each flange will have 4 bolts, and that's pretty much it. And then we're going to powder coat all of the sculpture pieces with these 3 colors over to the side. That will provide corrosion resistance and general protection from the elements, as well as obviously the color itself. So.
Can you talk about the height of the variants? pieces?
Oh, yeah. They will range in height from 5 foot to 8 foot. So, they'll just kind of fall in between that range, with the shortest being 5, the tallest being 8.
Okay, so these are a few of the areas that we did some renderings for to show you a bit of a design intent for the mural artwork. So on the left side, there's a big walking path around the field. We're going to be activating sort of clusters along that walking path with artwork. So it's going to be abstract shapes sort of as the background, and then there might be like a message or a word and like a little icon that reflects some of the activities that you can do there. So like basketball, tennis shoe, running, other sports. And we'll show you a mood board on the next page. But the basketball backboard, we were thinking of painting as well and keeping the regulation measurements on there, as well as some accent areas. You'll see on the right here, this is a water fountain. So we're going to have like a little splash of water underneath it just to keep the artwork sort of spread around the park and activating little landmarks around the park. And then you can go to the next. So this is what we're calling a mood board. Basically, these shapes and color palette are going to be what we pull from to make that artwork around the sidewalk. So we're going to be doing, like I said, like abstract shapes with some nature items and some workout items and things like that. So we'll be creating a cohesive sort of look and feel from this mood board here. And then there's a splash pad with this little low around it. It's like 1.5 to 2 feet high, and we're going to paint around the outside, as you can see here, with block lettering. There's going to be a couple words that we're using. We're going to have that pool noodle shape that references back to the pool house sculpture. And then we're also going to paint, you can see on the inside lower portion of the seating wall, there's like a little lip under there. We're going to paint that. We're going to avoid the top just because it's really high wear. So those are the areas that we're activating in order to keep it sort of the paint fresh and as long as possible. This is just the other side. Another word will be here. There's possibly going to be a third word on the back at the like apex of that curve. So it might be something like explore, or a word like that. We'll be finalizing that as we go, but this is the, just shows you the other side. Okay, so
Sorry.
I don't know if you want, Ronnie.
Sorry, I keep messing up the button. So I talked to the commercial paint professional at Sherwin-Williams about the project, and he suggested that we use Armor Seal Treadplex paint. It works as a primer and a top coat. So we'll do multiple coats just to make sure that we have like the primer layer, and the top coat layer taken care of. These are the 7 colors that we've chosen. We might throw like one more neutral in there, maybe a darker color, but this is like the majority of it will be this palette. Yeah, that should be good. Based on what we talked about with Sherwin-Williams, it should last. It should do pretty well against the wear and tear that I described to him.
Thank you. And I did forget to mention also that before I go to the third project, all 3 artworks were approved by the Public Art Committee on Tuesday, March 31st. And all 3 projects got support from the council people. Nikki Hudson, specifically for Lakepool Park, which was the first one you saw, says she's supportive of the project and truly appreciates Lizzie's extensive research, community outreach, and involvement for the project. And we're going to move on to the final project, which is the Sterling Recreation Center at 1380 East 32nd Street. That is formerly Ward 7, now Ward 8 with the boundary changes, still the same council person in the Goodrich Kirtland Park neighborhood. The project scope for that center was an addition and renovation with a $4.7 million renovation budget and an $87,000 public art budget. Is under construction with anticipated completion around June, I believe it's opening on June 1st, so spring 2026. This is an overview of the general area between Superior and St. Clair where Sterling Recreation Center is located. Site context, these are just different views of the site. These are some additional views of the site. And these are pre-construction photos of what the center used to look like before the renovation started. These are the original renderings for the facility, which is close to what it looks like right now currently on the exterior, although they are still working on the interior. This is a site plan of the full site. And I do want to make a comment that the artist that was selected, Lauren Herzog Bowman, is here online to co-present as well. There were 13 applicants on this project. 2 were disqualified for incomplete submissions. 1 other applicant withdrew, so we had 10 eligible. 4 finalists were interviewed, and the selected contracted artist was Lauren HB Studio. She's going to get more into this, but she did engage the community, gathering stories, activities, and references from the rec center users, the Cleveland Scrappers baseball team practices, and she did some community meetings online and in person. So with that stated, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren to present her idea.
Okay, hi everyone. So for my community engagement, as Tara said, I gathered feedback through surveys, both online and in person. I asked about the sounds and movements and textures and feelings they associate with Sterling Rec Center. Those responses became the foundation for the poem below, which is titled Open Assembly, and also the name of the piece. It will be translated into oversized braille and cut directly into the bench surfaces. So the community's words are embedded in the structure. Open Assembly is 4 sculptural aluminum benches designed as a single continuous meandering form. So not just 4 separate objects. Each bench curves through the space and seats people on both sides. And the piece is located near the storage area for the Cleveland Scrappers, which I think you might be familiar. They're a beep baseball team, a blind baseball team for that we have here in Cleveland, one of the oldest teams in the league too. So the benches will support the players as they prepare offerings and offer seating for spectators and the neighborhood. And it also will create a commons area for the neighborhood. The benches are installed on a newly poured concrete pad at Sterling Rec Center. It's in the bottom image, you can see that it's right outside of the Scrappers storage area, and the top shows a proposed layout. So the 4 benches will be distributed across the pad and secured with anchor bolts. Each bench is about 91 inches, 91 5/16 inches, base plate to base plate. They're 24 inches wide, and they have a range of heights dipping down anywhere from 32 inches to 48 inches. And the bench height is 17 inches. So the concrete pad is 54 feet 11 inches on its longest edge and 15 feet 1 inch on the short edge. So materials and installation. They're fabricated from aluminum. They weigh approximately 300 pounds. And again, they're anchored. The steel base plates are anchored with anchor bolts. So the oversized braille pattern is laser cut through the metal, and the finish is a powder coat. And I believe, Tara, thank you for switching that out. Yeah, so powder coat, the color inspiration is based on this Sherwin-Williams swatch, but I'm working with prismatic powder, and I've ordered a few dozen samples to get color matching just right. The finish will be like a matte or not a matte, like an eggshell satin surface. So the here is a rendering of the bench, and my hope is that the bench supports the scrappers and the neighborhood and any spectators for the game. And that the oversized braille pattern just acts as kind of like a connector between the community and the team that practices there. Finally, I want to plan a celebration for the installation of the benches. There will be a public picnic and unveiling of the benches to coincide with a Cleveland Scrappers practice. So the neighborhood and all parties are invited to attend. There'll be food, hopefully some activities like sidewalk chalk or bubbles for kids, and just like a big thank you and welcoming to the community for having the piece there.
And I want to make one correction. I said that all 3 council members had given support. Actually, the one at Glendale Park and was what's now Ward 1, I have not heard back from that councilman, but the councilwomen for Lake Pool Park and Sterling are supportive of their projects.
Thank you. Any other comments, Tara?
Yes, as I am recommending these all for approval, I would ask that conditions of the approvals that the artists work with the park staff and myself to provide the final colors, because there were some notes that the colors could be subject to minor change. So just making sure that they work with us to provide the final color list and maintenance plans for all 3 projects. And for the one at Glendale Park, that they work with the park staff for the exact placement of the sculpture where they have it located in the park. So those would be my only other comments. I think they're all great projects. So
awesome. Thank you so much. Commission members, comments or questions?
I do have a question, but I know it's outside our purview here. And it has more to do with all the capital expenditures at the rec centers. I hope there's like a pretty robust maintenance plan, because I've been around for a very long time and I've seen a lot of work on rec centers for the last 60 years, and then they fall in disrepair. So I hope that's the case. And then one other caveat that I would, maybe if I make the motion, just make sure that you take all the colors outside. Mm-hmm. You have to do it in sunlight. It has to be sun. Otherwise, the lights here, you get, the temperature, it will throw you off. So anything that's going to be verified should be outside at the site, if possible. Okay, all right.
To the to Commissioner Fluker's comment, one suggestion maybe, Callie, is to have Director Nichols give a presentation. She gave a presentation yesterday to the Green Space Parks Coalition on kind of what was done in the first year and a half of as her tenure here with regards to parks. And she mentioned a number of things with regards to facility upgrades and maintenance. And I think it'd be great for the commission to kind of hear that presentation. And as well, I was noted as there's a new person in building and housing that has been appointed that I didn't know about. But if there's a special presentation. No, building housing, a separate person. No, parks person separate. Okay. That's a presentation. Okay. But another potential special presentation is the new director of building and housing. No? Am I lost on it? Maybe. We'll touch base on that. Yeah, okay.
And I do want to note that the Parks Director does have a copy of this presentation, so she knows what's going into all three facilities.
Councilman, did you have a comment or question?
My only comment, and I should have mentioned this during the committee process, but I don't think I saw it on the slide. If there's a way to have the Braille poem available for people to read as well, so that they can give a context of what the Braille is, I think that it's a nice poem. So I think it'd be something to incorporate as like a side.
Lauren can speak to that. She's also going to have a plaque there on site where people can get information on the poem and how it translates.
Then that's good. I might have just missed that then during.
I don't know if she said it. Lauren, did you mention that during your?
No, I didn't. But the poem will be, so as it is now, the oversized Braille, like, it's not the correct size to be read, which is intentional. Correct reading Braille will be on the plaque along with an English translation and a Chinese translation.
Got it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further comments or questions, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the public art installations at Lake Pool Park, Glendale Park, and Sterling Recreation Center as presented, with the caveat that the artists work with staff to finalize colors and placement of said sculptures.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Life,
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank
Thank
so
you
much,
all.
Tara. Thank you for joining us online with the presentations. All right. We have two additional mandatory legislative referrals. First up is ordinance number 403-2026. This is designating Sapirstein Garage and House at 852-854 East 95th as a Cleveland landmark.
Yes,
Hopefully
thank you,
I said
Madam
that
Chair.
correctly.
Sapirstein, close.
Sapirstein.
Yeah, very close, close enough. Hi, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Rachel Pierce. I'm staff with the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. I haven't presented in front of you all before, so it's nice to meet all of you. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. It's necessary. We're talking about the Sapirstein Garage and House at 852-854 East 95th Street. This property actually was brought to us by the property owner, the current owner, Henry Shepard. He's not online today. He's an older gentleman, doesn't really have like internet access or anything. So we've been communicating with him via phone and he's very excited about this. So we're excited to present it to you. Oh, there we go. Over here on the left, you can see the home that we're going to be talking about today. The garage is over there in the middle. And then over on the right is Jacob Sapirstein. And that is who we're going to be talking about in terms of significance for this property too. So we'll start with going over the current condition of the property as is, and then get into the history, which is arguably more the fun part. So this was presented to the Landmarks Commission on March 12th, and they voted in favor of proceeding with the nomination for this property. You can see the criteria that we're saying this property meets for landmark designation. One of them being that it's eligible for listing to the National Register of Historic Places. We do have a letter from the State Historic Preservation Office confirming that back from 2021, that it was eligible for listing. Just for context, I wanted to show you where this property is. It's located in the Glenville neighborhood. We do have a couple other landmarks in this area, including the East Boulevard Historic District, the Rockefeller Park and Cleveland Cultural Gardens Historic District. Empire Junior High School is a local landmark. And then also the Jerry Siegel House, also credited as the Superman House, is nearby as well. I've included some images from Google Street View just to show you how this street has changed over time. The property owner purchased the nominated property back in 2008. So back in 2009, you can see that the street was a little more dense, and then demolitions have occurred over time, creating that condition shown in the 2022 image there. So we really do think that there should be some preservation efforts in this area of Cleveland. So we'll start with the garage because this is the more significant piece, as I'll get into. So the garage was built in 1919. It's a simple one-story brick enveloped building. You can see the two garage doors on either side, which are not the original doors, but the window in the center we believe to be original, just modified. But it seems very simple and unassuming. But as I'll get into, this is where American Greetings was started, was out of this garage. And not only that, but the founder of American Greetings, he lived in this home as well. So it's a two-family home. It's currently occupied by tenants on the upper floors. But you can see it has some really fascinating exterior features. It's very unique for a two-family home in this area. It has like the diamond-shaped windows, which you don't see a lot of. Some original wood frame windows on the first floor, beautiful columns. You can see the wood siding is original, it just needs some paint, and then rear porches as well. I really love the leaded glass window there, you can see, as well as this balustrade detail as well. So it's a beautiful example of like 1910s architecture. The interior as well boasts some really beautiful features too. These photos were taken back in 2021 when we first looked at this as a landmark. And so you can see the original wood floors, some plaster walls and ceilings, wood built-ins, as well as that beautiful leaded glass window, fireplaces. So as I mentioned before, we don't think the significance of this property really lies in the architecture as much. It's more that story with American Greetings and Jacob Sapirstein, who you can see here in the image on the left. He immigrated to the United States back in 1905, first arriving in Boston, sponsored by the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. His mom, who's shown in the image on the right, Molly, she actually wanted all of her kids to immigrate to the United States due to the Russian-Japanese War that was happening then. The Russian Empire was drafting Jewish men in Poland, and so she wanted all of her kids to move to the United States and be spared from participating in that war. So he arrived to Boston in 1905, then briefly lived in Chicago, and then made his way to Cleveland in 1906. So when he arrived in 1906, his family was able to get him a job at the Holland Inn Hotel on Superior Avenue, shown in the image on the left, but that's unfortunately been demolished. He worked in the card shop for about 6 months and then started his own business of selling postcards. So he started pedaling from a wagon, and he lived on Woodland Avenue and East 40th Street during those initial years, and he operated some business out of the property there, but those are both demolished in terms of like what records we have about that. Later, he moved to East 70th Street. You can actually see the address in the wagon and the advertisement on the right from 1917. That was at 2169 East 70th Street, which is also demolished. But he built a barn there and operated out of that barn as well. I do want to note the 3 children in the wagon, I believe to be Irving, Morris, and Harry, his 3 sons. Their daughter, Bernice, was not born yet. They had 4 kids, Jacob and his wife, Jenny. So by 1918, they moved to 856 to 858 East 95th Street, which is next door to the property that we're nominating, actually, which is very interesting. So you can see in the image on the left, proving that he lived at this address. The image in the middle there, we believe to be have taken at this home. You can see kind of that column detail to the right of their family picture. It aligns with this image from Google Street View that you can see as well. So he actually did extend an existing garage here as well. We believe he used that to operate his business out of. This home and the garage are both demolished as well, which you could kind of see in the earlier Google Street View images I shared. He sold the property in 1919 though and moved into the property that we're nominating. These 2 maps show those properties side by side. The blue is the 856 address that's been demolished, and in the red is the 854 address, 852 to 854 address that we're talking about today. So Jacob loved to build garages and barns. So he did build the garage here as well. And we do have the permit on file, and you can see it in the image on the left showing his name as well as the date and that he planned to build a brick garage. The image on the right shows his firstborn son, Irving, in front of the garage from the 1960s. And actually, the AmeriCorps member who did a lot of this research back in 2021, she contacted a descendant of Jacob Sapirstein, who was able to confirm via email that that is Irving, his son. And he said, pictures of this home, especially the picture of the garage, fit the description of it that was the first office and warehouse of American Greetings, too, which is very interesting. You can see a comparison between the two images here. So there's scarring above the garages where those shed roofs were located. You can see the doors have changed, obviously, but that window seems to be similar. And I think it's just been modified over time. So I did mention his two sons, Morris and Irving. They were part of the business from a very early age. Both sons, as well as Harry, the other son, and their daughter, they all changed their last name to Stone in the 1940s. I don't have proven documentation, but that could be tied to World War II and attitudes and changes towards Jewish members during that time. So I do want to make that note that they went by Stone. But they were involved in the business from an early age, and their biggest order in the 1920s was for Euclid Beach Park, where they sold 48,000 postcards, around $24,000 worth of inventory at the time, which was huge. But they expanded a lot going into the 1920s. They actually then created the Sapirstein Greeting Card Company while living at 852 to 854 East 95th Street and out of the garage, which you can see in the upper right-hand corner from the city directories. And so at that time, they started to develop also their own postcards and designing and creating those as well while operating out of the garage. And I did bring some postcards if anyone's interested and wants to see. There's a name. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Stan. So they operated this company out of the garage for a couple more years, but by 1932, they had really expanded far too much to stay in the garage. So they went and moved to a warehouse at 9311 Yale Avenue, then 6815 Superior Avenue, and then 11800 Superior Avenue, but those are all demolished. So the image on the right shows one of the warehouses as well, or buildings that they operated out of, but those are all gone as well. So they maintained ownership of the home that we're talking about today until 1943. They ended up selling the property. By 1938, they had already moved out of the home and they moved to East Boulevard. The image on the left shows them in front of that home. That's also been demolished as well, unfortunately. So then they did end up moving their company headquarters because now they're American Greetings Publisher Company. And so they moved to Berea Road, and that building still stands in the image on the right. And it's in use too, we believe. They then became American Greetings Corporation in 1952 and went public at $12 a share. And in 1956, they broke ground for their plant on Memphis Avenue, which is in the image on the right, and they used up until 2016 before they moved to the Westlake headquarters building. So this building was modified relatively recently and is used by Medical Mutual and some other companies as well. Sapirstein maintained his presidency as part of American Greetings until 1960. Then his son Irving took over, and then his son Morris took over as well. So by 1980, one of their subsidiaries, Amtoy, created a line of characters called Those Characters from Cleveland. That included Strawberry Shortcake, the Care Bears, Holly Hobby. And so actually the bumper sticker in the upper right-hand corner, we have the physical one. We found that here in this building, which is very cool. So I was able to scan that in. So I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that although they were really expanding, they were going international. They really had roots here in Cleveland. And the Sapirstein family did maintain ownership, like a majority stake up until relatively recently as well. So the company did pass on to Irving, which is he's shown in the image on the left. He's the older gentleman to the right of Jacob. Then his son-in-law took over, who's opposite of him. And then the man above Irving, it's a little hard to point, but then he ended up taking over as well. So it did stay in the family, and now the family has a minority stake in American Greetings. And as I mentioned, they have their headquarters in Westlake, Ohio currently. So we're really hoping that this nomination can bring some new life back into this property. The current property owner is very supportive of this. He's been waiting quite a while for this to be designated, but we hope to attract some investment into this area, especially into the home, just by connecting to this American Greetings story. So I thank you all for your time.
I think you knocked it out the park for your first presentation.
Thank you. Wow, thank you.
We're going to minimize our hazing.
We're going to be the
That's very
Hot Cocoa Award. That's the highest.
Oh, wow, thank you both. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Presentation, I learned a lot. Thank you.
Great.
Madam Chair, to the applicant, just one question. The lot that was the previous house before we moved into this one, is that like a land bank lot or?
You know, that's a very good question. Dan, do you know?
Oh,
I believe so.
it'd be interesting, and I don't know what the plans for with regards to, kind of what happens after the designation, but some integration of that open space and some, expression of this presentation or the history could be
I would love
interesting.
that. I think that would be amazing. Yeah, there's a great story to tell here, I think, too.
Yeah.
And the current property owner is only like the 7th or 8th owner of this home, too. So it stayed in very limited hands before he acquired it. And he actually lives across the street, too. So he has pretty deep roots in this area. Yeah, Care Bears.
Great research.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll say it's a great story. I have to just say I'm a little nervous about designation only because it seems that the property owner's having some maybe maintenance challenges as is, and this will only create a higher standard of maintenance and permit pulling and everything. So I'm curious if staff has thought I would like for this to be a value add and there to be assistance, and not that this be like prohibitive to the property owner as we're trying to tell a story.
To piggyback on Charlie's point, maybe there's an introduction to CRS to get a, you get some loan financing to help renovate.
CRS.
What did I say?
No, I'm asking, can you just say the full organization?
Cleveland Restoration Society. No, I'm just kidding. Cleveland Restoration Society. I'm joking. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. You're right. I shouldn't be guilty of that as well. However, no, I think there's, to your point, I think we need to at least allow the owner access, or at least apprise them of access to some services that he might benefit from.
And we completely agree with you, with both of you. I think that this is kind of the first step, like in preservation as a whole. Sometimes all you can do to start is like designation, make it known, get the story out there. But that's like a high priority for us, is to connect this homeowner, because I think he really needs the assistance. He is an older gentleman too, so I think he's thinking in terms of like legacy. How can I keep this property going and keep the story going? So we do want to connect him with CRS. I did have him connect with community development staff here as well. And then we're actually hoping, because we had some contact with the Sapirstein family, we can reach back out to them, and they could even connect us to American Greetings, because they do celebrate the Sapirstein family on their website. They haven't let that go. So hopefully they're willing to put some investment in to keep this story alive. Yeah.
Awesome.
If you need help connecting with CRS, let me know. I'm a former board member and officer.
Great. Thank you so much.
With that being said,
I'll move approval of ordinance 403, 2026.
And I second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Anthony.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Carrie Scott.
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Life.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Our last mandatory referral for today is ordinance number 368-2026. This is authorizing mayor and the commissioner of purchases and supplies to purchase property for construction of the new Cleveland Division of Fire Station number 23, which is located at 10022 Madison Avenue.
West side. Good morning, commission members. Good afternoon, actually. So this legislation is requesting authority for the Department of Public Safety to acquire located at parcel number 00128-030, address 10022 Madison Avenue for the construction of fire station number 23. Do we have the presentation? This will be my first time presenting and actually having the clicker. Usually it's you guys over there clicking through. So there's no longer a need to say, please flip to the next slide. I can just make it happen.
It does have a delay.
So I'm assuming I just click right for, okay, there we go. Okay, so as I stated, this ordinance is requesting authority for the Department of Public Safety to make an acquisition for the construction of Fire Station 23. So here we have a location map. So this site is located at the intersection of West Boulevard and Madison Avenue in its Fine Arts District. This site was formerly a CVS that closed in 2022. It's been vacant ever since. And then I have some information about the site. So the location of Fire Station 23 is a site that's only 0.45 acres, while this new proposed site is 0.88 acres. So it's almost twice the size. So the reason why Public Safety identified the need for a new fire station is because it's just too small. It doesn't meet the modern standards of a fire facility. And so this site was identified as a potential ideal location once it was determined that a new station would need to be built, because the current site just doesn't have the size to accommodate what's needed for a modern facility. And so not only does this new site have the size, it's also geographically ideal because it can serve the same service area as the current station with almost identical service times, response times rather. So this new site is large enough to have separate zones for living quarters, decontamination area, and apparatus bay, which the current site doesn't have enough size to have a separate zone for each of those areas. And also the current site apparatus have to back into the garage from Madison, which leads to the congestion and traffic, while this new site has a pull-through design for better on-site maneuverability. So they won't have to back in, they can pull in, maneuver within the site, which will lead to better response times and less traffic congestion. So that concludes the presentation.
Thank you so much. Comments, questions from commission members?
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of ordinance number 368-2026.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
McCray Scott.
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Slife, Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you so much.
Of course, thanks, everyone.
The remote wonderfully.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to tell the applicant that's a very nice suit, by the way.
Yes.
He's always dressed. He's City Hall's best dressed.
All right. We have a slate of administrative mandatory referrals. If folks can take a look at that, and then I just ask for a motion.
I read this once already.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve all of the administrative approval mandatory legislation referrals from ordinance number 351 all the way down to 407.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Free Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Blythe, Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Evelyn, and thank you all. Turning over to Director for their report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just have one thing to share with you today. Earlier this week, we said goodbye to one of our employees in City Planning Commission. Chooks Okoye has served at the City of Cleveland for 30 years as a zoning examiner. So he is on to greener pastures of retirement, but we certainly appreciate his service. The majority of that was in the Department of Building and Housing, doing zoning review there. And then just over the last couple of years, as part of some of our zoning shifts, he moved over to City Planning and has been with us since November of 2024. So we celebrated him in this room on Tuesday and just wanted to share with the commission our appreciation for his service and our very great wishes for a restful and relaxing and fulfilling retirement. Other than that, that is what I have. I will be out for the for a significant portion of the time between now and the next planning commission. So Assistant Director Marka Fields will be taking good care of you in the interim.
Thank you, Director. That concludes our meeting. Have a wonderful